Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robbie and Rex Road. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
And welcome into the Labor Day edition of Robbie and Rex Road here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexroad. Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope everybody is having a great weekend here today on the program. Joe Rexroad, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay, yeah. Very few people on the roads.
It was awesome.
It was, but if you're out there, if you're listening to us or watching us, please send us a message right now so we don't feel lonely.
Yeah.
And also let me know like what's going on with you in your life.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
what's happening today.
Yeah, tell me what's up with you.
Hit up our text line.
Listening right now.
Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. You along with us are working today. We're glad to be here today on the program.
Yes, we are.
Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Morning. Very tired, long weekend, but good. Sister was in town, best friend.
There you go.
We love it, and I'm ready for fall and football and all
you
of it.
continue to be ready for fall with pumpkin spice lattes.
Also, how about that Counter Day, guys?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't go overly well, did it? They're tied at halftime in Miami, Ohio.
Let's relax.
Okay.
For a second.
Yeah, what happened in that first half?
Hey,
Yeah.
They covered by a bit, so we're just
I mean,
going to simmer down, guys.
I mean, I looked up at halftime. I was like, tied with Miami of Ohio, huh? Cool.
Not going to lie, I miss kickoff, and then I get their notifications, and I was
Not
like,
much of a Catter Day.
oh, goodness, what is happening? We're all good, though. We're all good.
Better than the alma mater of another member of our team.
Oh, yeah.
Pour one out for Caroline Fenton
Pull
here.
one out. The Brian Kelly experiment is underway down there in Baton Rouge. The beloved neutral site game in New Orleans last night for LSU.
There were a lot of Florida State fans.
There were more Florida State fans there than I thought that there would be.
Yeah.
But great game. 24-23. Florida State gets it done. It was pretty ugly for LSU for about, 95% of that game offensively, and then they made a late push. But you score the touchdown with time expiring, and you're thinking, all right, overtime, here we go. And then for the second time of the game, kick gets blocked. Not good stuff.
Incredible. Wow. And you botched 2 punts. By the way, neither of them did Florida State get a point on.
I know.
Which is incredible. Like the whole thing, it was wacky, man. That was a wild game. Great weekend.
It's pretty good, man.
It's not like it was there are much better schedules ahead, you know? And there were some stinkers like what Georgia did to Oregon. My goodness.
It was not a great weekend for the Pac-12.
No, a bad weekend for the Pac-12. But that Utah-Florida game was special. Last night was crazy. And honestly, like Ohio State, Notre Dame, it's probably a good backbone win for Ohio State there. But I got to say, I was impressed with Notre Dame's defense and just all around hanging in the way they did. I did not think that was going to happen.
I did not either. It was kind of a crazy weekend of college football. Every SEC team, except LSU, won over the weekend. So
Vanderbilt did not contribute to any losing.
They
are in first place alone in the SEC.
It was pretty incredible. I watched, I probably watched like 9 games on Saturday. It was awesome. Just an entire day's worth of watching college football. I watched, believe it or not, a pretty good bit of Alabama, Utah State, even though it was over within the first drive. Newsflash, Alabama looks pretty good. So
they're going to be
just
okay.
In case you were wondering. Georgia just totally demolishing Oregon. I mean, that thing was amazing. First off, Bo Nix, he threw some doozies of some interceptions in that game. And Georgia's defense has lost a lot. There's no question. And, I don't think as the year goes on, they're going to be as imposing as they were a year ago. That would be a pretty tough bar to clear. They still got a lot of dudes on the defensive side of the ball. And Stetson Bennett, at some point, are people going to recognize that maybe he's pretty good?
He's a Heisman candidate.
Because he looked pretty darn good on Saturday. I know that.
I mean, So I don't know if we're starting this yet. I know we have to do this thing, where we give our top 3 every week. I haven't thought about it because I haven't seen the email. But right now, Stetson Bennett is a top 3 Heisman candidate for me.
He went 25 of 31 for 368 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. And, the especially the one pass to McConkey where the play is to the right. And, yeah. No, man, the guy's really good. It's just incredible how – and I think we're past it mostly now, but it's incredible how recruiting profile still – I mean, last year he's lighting it up. They're on their way to and people are still like, but JT Daniels was a 5-star.
I know.
No, just shut up. Look at the guy play. I mean, it's I think we're mostly past that with him. But, yeah, I think he moves into – now we're talking – remember, even after last year, it's like, well, he'll probably move on. Great job. National
Thanks
title.
Thanks for the national title.
We'll see you. 5 stars galore. Yeah, just – no. You get a good quarterback. Stick with your good quarterback. They look – I mean, to me, they were one of the real stories. So look at all these people in the text line telling us they're listening. You guys are the best.
We love our listeners here on this program. Happy Labor Day to all of you.
Yes. Thanks for being with us. Also, what's up with you? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Go back to bed.
Johnny in White House on the text line says, I need a Robbie Stanley apology tour for the multi-score loss prediction for Florida. I will say.
Oh, man.
Look, I don't know how good or not good Utah is. Florida looked pretty good on Saturday.
They did.
I was watching that game through the lens of, all right, let's get a gauge of where Florida is because, that game at the end of the month between Florida and Tennessee could be pretty interesting. Anthony Richardson he's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a very impressive win.
Well, I already had visions of like Anthony Richardson and Hendon Hooker here. I mean, it's going to be like as I'm watching that game. But the thing is, I feel like Utah actually is really good. I mean, the whole narrative is going to be, and it's fair, the Pac-12 again, bye. You're out of the playoff like immediately. Utah needed that. And if Utah got that win, I think Florida's going to be better than people think this year. It would have held up well for them. And it's just a couple plays around the goal line. They really controlled that game. And I think they're the better team.
Well, they had the ball on the 6. All they had to do was either not turn the ball over and kick a field goal and go to overtime, or you had 2 more shots at it after that. And you it's just a brutal. I don't know what he's looking at there on that play.
But there were 2 defenders in front of the receiver.
A brutal decision to throw that ball. And I'm not just saying that because I may have had Utah minus 2.5 and they had a chance to do that right there, but just a brutal decision.
Yeah, so in other words, if they would have tied it, then if you get into 2-point to win territory, then you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's toughy, man. It's bizarre. If anybody out there is now let's take this to another level. If you're a Cleveland Browns fan who's old enough to remember Brian Sipe in the playoffs, I think against the Raiders, like you have the tying field goal. It's like, okay, hey, look, of course, try to win it.
Yeah.
Let's try to win it. Fine. But, the only thing you don't do is jeopardize the absolute chip shot to tie. Like, if you have something that's beautiful, it's right there for you, take it. And if not, you don't mess around. And, like, in that situation, in, like, 1980, and in this situation, it's like, what are you looking at?
This is awful.
What are you doing? And that guy's a good player, too.
I know.
He's a really good player.
The drive to get down there was really impressive.
Yes.
I was like, wow, this is about how you draw it up, and then that decision was just so bad at the end of that game. So I guess I do need to – I haven't technically apologized yet. Johnny, I apologize for my Florida Gator disrespect. Is that acceptable?
Is that okay, Johnny? We got some real quick. We all are not alone. Some of us truck drivers out here working. Don't text and drive, but thank you. I'm assuming that was voice to text. Jack says, I'm listening, guys. Headed back to Austin P. I run cross country. I practice this morning. All right. Shout out Austin P. Cross Country.
Let's get after it.
Go get it. Yep. I got someone else who, love the show. Jeff from Clarksville just got off work. Love hearing you guys. All right. Well, now
thanks, Jeff.
Enjoy some Labor Day.
So the game of the weekend, did you see this? North Carolina and App State.
Unbelievable.
It was crazy. 63-61, the final score. North Carolina, Mac Brown and company edge out Appalachian State on the road. Not much defense in that game. 63-61. App State scored the late touchdown to make it 63-61. They had a chance to go for two and did not get the 2-point conversion, but not a whole lot of defense out there in North Carolina. It was good stuff.
I mean, that's first of all, and a lot of people said this, like from the very start, where it's like 21-7 right away. It's like, why are you? Don't ever do this. Don't ever. If you're North Carolina, if you're any in-state school, in-state Power 5 school, do not schedule App State away.
Yeah,
no.
do that.
But wow. I mean, that and then really the Carolinas had some wild ones, man. I mean, Dave Dorn from NC State should be sitting on an L today, and that poor ECU kicker who missed an extra point already. It's kind of like LSU, last night, 2 of them blocked. I mean, you should not benefit from calling that timeout, but he did. I'd love to know, for anybody who doesn't know, ECU was in position. They ran everybody on the field perfectly. They had no timeouts left. So you kind of – but still, to me, you let them scramble and try to kick there. But instead, Dave Doran calls a timeout. He lets everybody get set, and then he blows it.
Yeah.
Wild games in the Carolinas.
There was some wild games in the Carolinas. Ohio State, as you brought up earlier, 21-10, the victors against Notre Dame. Not as many fireworks in that game as I thought there would be. Notre Dame's defense did a good job, but Ohio State gets the win. Interested to see how much of that is a commentary on Notre Dame's defense and how much of that is maybe Ohio State's offense isn't quite at this moment where we thought they would be heading into the season.
Yeah, I think ultimately they're going to be okay. I mean, Henderson is a load, and I know Stroud just wasn't as sharp as you expect. But he also had his best receiver was out a fair amount of the game, and I think they're going to be okay. One thing about them is, obviously last year, Kerry Coombs is not the most popular coach, and they love him down here. They love him down here in Nashville as a DB coach for the pro team. The D coordinator for the college team up there, it didn't go well, and they of course have the new DC, $2 million a year, and looks like that's probably going to help them. I think ultimately they're going to be just fine. But, yeah, kind of a clunky performance. But, hey, Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Give them props. I just thought they were so solid all across the board on defense.
We'll continue the conversation. We're off and running here today on Robbie and Rex Road. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. More from a wild week 1 of college football coming up next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A new fair is hatching in Nashville. Come on out and experience 10 days of dinner shows, barnyard animals, culture arts, sporting events, and 4 nights of Nashfest with themed music. We have something for everyone at the Fairgrounds Nashville from September 9th through the 18th. Buy tickets early online and save at nashfair.fun, a regional fair with an urban flair. The Nashville Fair. It's a hatchin' good time.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and every season is screwball season in my house. No matter the time of year, that rich, smooth taste just hits the spot. Y'all know Screwball. It's made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, and it's just flat out delicious. It's my favorite. However you take it, as a shot, in an espresso martini, or a peanut butter old-fashioned, make it a Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. 312 Pizza Company only uses the best all-natural ingredients and makes everything in-house from scratch every single day. And trust me, you can taste the difference. They've got deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, their Italian beef. You'll taste the freshness. Stop in for a pint of local beer and a slice of pizza, or order online at 312pizzaco.com. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
And now,
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
Deshaun Watson reaching a settlement with 20 of the 24 women who accused him of sexual misconduct. Now, that doesn't mean that the quarterback can avoid a suspension by the NFL. I had been told that disciplinary action was probably going to happen this week. Now this comes up. Why now? It was reported earlier this season Watson would look to settle the civil suits if a deal with the Dolphins was finalized. That never happened. And if Watson was ready then why did we wait so long? Why not once he got traded to Cleveland? Now, it's 15 months into the process, and just last week it was reported the NFL would look into a significant suspension for Watson, and maybe those reports made Watson and his attorney uneasy and decided to stop the bleeding. Or maybe the NFL and the quarterback struck a deal.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings at 8 on a station built for you. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
This is The Herd.
Attention listeners.
With Colin Cowherd.
I look at Kyrie Irving sort of like I look at cryptocurrency. There's no real data to indicate it's a great investment. A lot of speculation, highly turbulent, rarely reliable, and what does it really get me? Ask yourself with Kyrie. Compare him to Steph. Does he provide great leadership? No. Reliability? No. Defense? Oh, no. No defense. Size? No, he's small. Okay, distribution. He gets others involved. Not really. He's never been great at that. He actually is what the Nets already have. A shooter. Joe Harris, Curry, Patty Mills, Kevin Durant. He's not replacing anything on that team, and he's not providing anything they don't have. What is Kyrie Irving providing for the Nets they don't have?
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
Wow.
Weekdays at 11 on a station built for you. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Stay tuned. Got some Kevin Hart tickets to give away a little bit later in the program. Looking forward to that.
That's what we were watching Saturday after the Vanderbilt game. The Kevin Hart, what was that? The movie with Mark Wahlberg. You guys seen this movie?
With Wahlberg?
Yeah. I think it's like new on Netflix.
Oh, no, I hadn't seen it.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
That was good.
Oh, good.
It was funny. The amount of the movie I watched before passing out of my chair was very good.
I'm glad.
We'll finish that today, maybe.
I think that would be a good idea. We're discussing week 1 of college football. We'll get to Joe's takeaways from Vanderbilt here in just a few minutes. I can't believe we just made it through this first segment without the most Big Ten thing of all time being brought up.
Amazing.
And Dave from Arkansas brought this up on the text line. Excuse me, David from Arkansas on the text line brought this up. How about those Iowa Hawkeyes over the weekend? They get to 7 points. They win 7-3, and it wasn't the traditional route to get to 7. 2 safeties and a field goal for the Iowa Hawkeyes to get to 7 points. Joe, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it.
You know, sometimes you regret like not tweeting. I mean, I could tweet it right now. Iowa 2022 wins greater than sign Iowa 2022 touchdowns.
Yes.
Incredible, man. The fact
7-3.
Like that's and I know that like our Matt Brown went back and it's like it hasn't happened at least since I think 1980. But like they're trying to. So at some point this week, someone may tell us that this has never happened before. I don't know, but seriously, 2 freaking safeties. And I watched a ton of that game. I was watching that game just rooting for a 5-3 final. It's so amazing. Like, Iowa football is so, like, they have a brand, and it is big. It's as Big Ten as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
But in particular, Iowa football, like, their fans every year are just miserable about their offense. Just miserable. And they know Kirk Ferentz is good. They know they're going to have a good defense. You know what? If you win these games, because they got Iowa State this week, I bet you that's another grinder.
Oh, yeah.
Then, you're fine. But then inevitably you'll come out and, like, Wisconsin beat you, like, 31-12.
6. Yeah.
And then it's like, Ferentz. But, man, I mean, and they, of course, like, his kid's been the OC, all this stuff. That game was that's also another non-league scheduling thing I would tell somebody to avoid if you can, if at all possible. That's a very good program.
Their quarterback went 11 of 25 for 109 yards and a pick, and they won the game 7-3 without scoring a touchdown. It's really incredible. There was, I don't know. I need to go look at it. I don't know exactly what newspaper it was, but it was basically in Iowa. It was talking about Iowa and victory, and they had no O in the words.
Yes,
it was awesome.
Iowa victory with like a line instead of the O's.
Yes,
no O
for no O in the game.
Very good. See,
beautiful stuff.
Newspaper headlines, man. We can't lose this. We can't lose this.
I know.
We need to have newspaper fronts, even if we don't have newspapers at some point in the future.
Well, there was the Iowa game, and then the final score is very deceiving in this other game. But Nebraska was in one for a while with North Dakota. At one point, it was 17-17
late third.
In the second half. Yeah, late in the third quarter, and Nebraska pulls away. They win 38-17, but it was getting real for Scott Frost and company in that game on Saturday.
That was like, get fired on your way to the locker room. Like, just go ahead and do an Antonio Brown farewell and see ya. Thank you, Scott moment. 3 straight touchdowns, though. I saw Will Compton was there tweeting very excitedly about the win.
He was.
So, man, yeah. That was a close one. I mean, there was a did we miss anything big in the SEC? Real quick on the SEC, too, you mentioned it. We talked about it. Officer Watson from Clarksville talking about, but Richardson scares me. Anthony Richardson. I mean, he's going to be a first-round pick.
He's pretty good.
And we're talking about a guy who's starting for the first time. It's his job solely for the first time. But I'm gonna call that shot right now. First-round pick.
I like it. Arkansas, we have not talked about this. Arkansas, a big win against Cincinnati. They win 31-24. So Luke Fickell and company already with one more loss than they had all of last year until they got to the playoff. But a good win for Arkansas. Their offense, it took them a while to get going in that game. KJ Jefferson had some big runs. He's lost some weight. He's lost like 15, 20 pounds they were talking about on the broadcast. He looks pretty quick out there. We were talking about, the best runners of the football at the quarterback position, and how Mike Wright and Hendon Hooker may have that. I don't know. Anthony Richardson looked pretty good, and KJ Jefferson looked pretty good over the weekend as well, running the ball.
How about Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels, too.
I'm watching that game last night. I'm like, well, we need to rethink this. Now, I still would put Mike Wright in pure straight-ahead speed.
Yeah.
I think ahead of any of them. But, there's actually it's quite a group. What did Jefferson end up? 18 for 62. Yeah. That is quite a group. And he had some big time just making plays, getting out of the pocket late in that game to help them put that away. So that's a good win for them. Cincinnati lost some guys.
Yep.
But I bet you they don't lose too many more the rest of the way.
Probably not. Ole Miss with a 28-10 win against Troy. They're basically trying out 2 quarterbacks, although Jackson Dart was the guy for most of the game on Saturday. Luke Altmaier got in a little bit later, and he's apparently was supposed to start next week. Lane Kiffin was doing the you're going to start one week and you're going to start the next week thing, which is interesting to me. But
Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, Luke Altmaier threw 2 passes in the game, and Jackson Dart threw 27. So a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah.
I watched some of that game, too. I thought they looked okay.
Yeah, I didn't see.
Not great.
I didn't get any of that one, but they are transfer heavy.
They are.
There's no doubt about it.
Trying to look at the other SEC games. Texas A&M, they struggled the first half, and then they put it together against Sam Houston. So they ended up winning 31-0. But It was only 10-0 A&M at one point late in the first half, and then they got it figured out. Auburn wins over the weekend as well, and Mississippi State looked pretty good against Memphis. One team that did not look great, Spencer Rattler in South Carolina. They ended up winning 35-14, but it was a slog to get there against Georgia State.
And that's the thing. Like, a lot of times you have those especially the first half, that are just clunky for teams. So A&M and South Carolina, I still think Rattler is a really interesting player for them. They could be decent. Haynes King ends up with really good numbers for A&M, 20 for 31, 364. He did throw a couple picks, though, 3 touchdowns, a couple picks. Aeneas Smith, which I need to get that name down because I think he's going to be a prominent draft pick. 6 for 164.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns.
Not bad. So when we look at the Pac-12, Oregon just gets absolutely destroyed by Georgia, it was hilarious because Brian Kelly after the game was talking about landing the coach. He's like, yeah, he'll never say this, but we have way better players than Oregon does. He'll be fine up there.
Yeah.
Way better players. Like, oh, okay.
It was basically like, I'm gonna go ahead and support my buddy right now and let people know. But I mean, hey, you know what? I mean, it's true.
It's 100% true.
And by the way, real quick, it's Aeneas. Sorry.
Yeah. And then Florida taking down Utah. So the top 2 favorites in the Pac-12 for the college football playoff are down in week 1 to SEC teams. One of them being Georgia, which you understand, even though 46 points is quite the margin of victory, and one of them to an unranked Florida team. My question for you is the Pac-12 in week 1 already out of the college football playoff? Now, I would like to point out USC is 14th in the country, and they won handily against Rice.
Yeah.
So I guess they're still alive.
But again, if you're USC, like, you needed Utah to win.
You did.
I mean, they're in trouble. You know, Utah was their hope. I still think Utah is the best team. We'll see. Lincoln Riley's got Oklahoma West out there. You know, we'll see how good they are. But it's a tough deal for that league. Now, of course, the good deal for that league is that on Friday the 12-team playoff was announced.
Yeah.
And so down the road, there's a lot of things that are a little bit at least better for leagues like that, and there's a future ahead. There's a light at the end of the tunnel now. But yeah, this is another year where, I mean, it's incredible. I think they're like, someone had a stat the other day, are they 1-14 or something like that in the last several years in these big games. Most of them against SEC teams, most of them ugly losses. So yeah, they're up against it right away.
Coming up next, we'll get into Vanderbilt's performance against Elon over the weekend. What have been Joe Rexroad's takeaways from Vanderbilt through 2 games thus far this season? That's next. This is Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
This is Phil Tomasino, and this is Smashville.
Cousins put it in front of the score. Tomasino lofts it in. 2-0 Nashville.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
This week in Vanderbilt history, September 11th, 2021. Clark and a comeback in Colorado. After a disappointing opener on West End, the Commodores headed west and scored the first win of Coach Clark Lee's tenure, defeating Colorado State 24-21 on a Joe Bolovas field goal in the final seconds. Vanderbilt had to play from behind early, with CSU scoring the first 14 points of the game in the first half. Taking advantage of a big play on special teams, the Doors got on the board just before the break with a Ken Seals TD pass to Chris Pierce with 47 seconds. And then following a Jalen Mahoney interception, Seals found Cam Johnson to tie the game in the third. And then 4 minutes later, Seals rushed for a TD to go in front for the first time. But Colorado State evened the score with just over 3 minutes to play, setting the stage for the winning drive. And that was capped by the 38-yarder from Bolovas and a celebration on the field and in the locker room. A fun night in Fort Collins. Vanderbilt 24, Colorado State 21 in 2021. This week in Vanderbilt history, I'm Kevin Ingram.
Need a new tractor, zero-turn mower, utility vehicle? Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville's Kubota Field Event, Thursday, September 15th at Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Fun Shoot at one of Coleman Tractor's biggest sales events of the year. Demo, subcompact, compact, utility tractors, and more. Ask about competitive financing offers. Get a coupon for up to $250 and enter to win an Orca cooler. Don't miss Coleman Tractor of Nashville's Kubota Field Event, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on September September 15th at Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Fun Shoot.
Hey everybody, Big Joe here for Apple Collision Centers. And you know I'm always on the go, but the distraction that an automobile accident causes could even slow my pace down to a stop. But my friend and CEO of Apple Collision Centers, Stan Harrison, has a plan to get you and I back on the road and fast.
We at Apple Collision Centers know you deserve the best quality service. We always recommend original equipment parts, and we use only the best Sherwin-Williams finishes. 3 convenient locations, Hendersonville, Gallatin, and Oak Hickory. And you can always visit us online for your estimate needs at applecollisioncenters.com.
Who do you call when you need a new floor? R&S Wood Flooring, or finish the old one that you got. R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring. Bring beauty to every room in your home. R&S Wood Flooring.
R&S Flooring is Nashville's leading flooring company for over 30 years. Say no to inflation and save big this summer at R&S Flooring. Save on all hardwoods, tile, carpet, and LVT flooring. Take advantage of our 12 months same as cash financing and don't make a payment until 2023. Simply go online at rnsflooring.com and schedule your free estimate today. No waiting, no hassles. It's that easy. Call 615-771-0084 today and schedule your free in-home estimate. Or visit us online at rnsflooring.com and start visualizing your new floors today.
R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Stomach Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I guess with the struggles in the second half, especially on defense, I mean, does it feel like you guys won that game? What was the locker room like after?
Yeah, I mean, I think we know how hard winning is, and so we're not going to miss an opportunity to celebrate a win. But our stated goal for the season is to find our highest level as a team. And, we certainly didn't do that. There's a lot of learning in this game. I felt like we had opportunities within the game to separate. Specifically, I thought we did a good job in the middle 8 minutes, scoring before half and scoring coming out after half. We need to generate a stop there on the next drive. I thought, on that particular drive, there were 2 really good plays made by Elon receivers that positioned them for that score. But there's going to be a lot there in the middle of the game where we had opportunities to distance ourselves, and a week ago we were able to do that. And it was the syncing up of all 3 phases that allowed for that. Tonight we weren't. And there's going to be a lot that goes into unpacking that, but we love learning from good results, and so I don't want to take that away from this team. This team fought for that. It wasn't pretty. Credit Elon, and then for me, it's just the game teaches us a lot, and we need to pay attention and find what that learning is that we can progress and move forward.
That was Clark Lee on Saturday night after a 42-31 win for Vanderbilt at home in their home opener. They improved to 2-0 on the season. Interesting game Saturday, Joe. They were up 35-10 in that game, and then all of a sudden the final score 42-31. Elon with a little bit of an offensive explosion in the second half of that game. But nonetheless, Vanderbilt 2-0. We talked about their win total, their projected win total heading into the season. The over-under was 2.5. So you're almost there for the first 2 weeks of the season. What were your takeaways from Vanderbilt and their performance against Elon on Saturday night in their home opener?
Shout out to Robbie Weinstein. Did it feel like you lost the game, Clark?
Clark, what was that?
Robbie, you covered Vanderbilt. Wins are celebrated. Wins are celebrated. Yeah, it was, first of all, it's like there's excitement in that performance because Mike Wright has 6 total touchdowns, first time that's ever happened, and he was at times tremendous. Now there was still, as Elon was making its second half comeback, there were still a few possessions where it's like, man, as you project forward, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Gotta everybody knows what's coming, and you gotta step in there and drill one and move the chains. There were a few moments that you'd like to be a little better, but boy, he made some beautiful. The 2 of his deep touchdown passes were as good as you can throw passes. One to freshman Jaden McGowan, who is
he may be pretty good.
He might be pretty good, and Ray Davis too was really good. So offensively, like all the way across the board. I think Vanderbilt in this huge game Saturday against Wake Forest, I think their offense is going to do some things. I think they're going to, I'm very interested to see how they do against now a much more legit opponent. But yeah, man, defensively it's rough. I mean, it's, and look, Hawaii, which you mentioned, 49-10, is that what it was to Western Kentucky?
They're not good.
By the way, they are at Michigan right now. 50.5 would be the point spread. Hawaii, a nice prime time Big Ten Network clash for all the viewers to enjoy. 50.5. They are bad. So Vanderbilt, their defense early in that game bad, and then they shut it down, which is good. It's a confidence builder. And like you said, you're 5 minutes into the third quarter, and it's 35-10, and it's fine. I mean, you're doing fine. That team splits quarterbacks. One of them got hurt. McKay, the guy who came in, he got hot. And their receivers, they did have receivers who made some. They had about 3 or 4 wow catches. So you can look at that. It wasn't always terrible coverage, but there was some coverage busts, some guys falling down, and just the way they ran the ball too. I think the biggest concern right now, they're banged up there. So it could get better, but the biggest concern to me for that team is the defensive front. And look, how often does it come back to that with Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
How are you in the trenches? I like their offensive line right now. Again, we'll see more like this week, but I feel like they've got a pretty solid group. Their defensive front. I mean, Davion Davis among 3 guys I think missing right now. Boy, they need some help. That was way too much. Push from the Elon Phoenix up front to make you feel great moving forward.
Well, we're getting ready to learn a whole lot more about this Vanderbilt team coming up this week as they take on Wake Forest. I mean, obviously, I don't know if Hartman's going to be in there or not. Have we heard anything on Hartman? I mean, doesn't sound like.
Yeah, just right now they're just keeping it to undetermined amount of time. But
they played well. Griffiths was good in week 1.
Can rip it. Griffiths can rip it.
He can. So we're going to find out a whole lot more about Vanderbilt this week from that standpoint because, I mean, I said this. Vanderbilt should not apologize, and Vanderbilt fans should never apologize for winning games. But I said this after the Hawaii game. Hawaii is bad, and that was reinforced this week. They got absolutely just destroyed by Western Kentucky. And then Elon, you're talking about a team that, really shouldn't have been hanging around if you're Vanderbilt, and you let them hang around. You end up winning by 11. So, again, you're not apologizing for being 2-0 if you're Vanderbilt, but we're going to find out a little bit more about Vanderbilt this week. But one thing I think I'm comfortable saying at this point, even though I know it's been 2 games against competition that's not great, it's pretty clear to me that the offense this year is going to be way better than it was last year. Now, what that means in terms of their win total, I don't know. But if Mike Wright can stay healthy, just the element that he brings running the football is something that this offense really needs. And you're talking about 6 touchdowns. He had, almost 400 yards of offense, 350 yards of offense over the weekend by himself. I mean, this offense is significantly better than it was a year ago.
Yeah, no question. And they didn't have Rocco Griffin or Patrick Smith at running back in this game. Now, the way that Clark Lee has talked about Patrick Smith, it appears that some kind of suspension. Of course, again, he dismissed 2 of their most celebrated freshmen last week. So he's still, it's the culture still ongoing at Vanderbilt, building that and everything. But think about a year ago, he had to switch play colors in the non-league, but before the season, and it was not pretty early. And eventually it got a little bit better. This offense is now built around kind of special talent. I mean, Mike Redd is special talent, and it's going to be really fun to see him go against better defenses. But they need, I think, if they get Rocco Griffin back this week, that would be a big deal to have a second back because he was really physical running the ball, in the first game. And also Quincy Skinner at receiver, they missed him. That he would make a big difference too.
So they are 2-0. I mean, there are clearly some problems defensively that you've highlighted here, but they're 2-0. And you've got Wake Forest coming in. You've got Northern Illinois left on the non-conference schedule. I saw Missouri that last week. I didn't think Missouri was all that impressive looking. South Carolina certainly was not impressive looking. Like I think Vanderbilt's going to have a chance to hang in some games here as they go down the stretch. I don't know what they're going to end up with in terms of their win total, but I can already tell through 2 weeks that they have gotten better and that Clark Lee and the message that he's preaching is getting bought into by these players. Now, the question is, defensively, are they going to have enough depth? Are they going to have enough ability as they go on to hang in there with some of these SEC offenses? Because if you're getting pushed around up front at times by Elon, that's not a great sign of what that could mean moving forward.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, too, like the effect of what happened in the second half when, again, for the most part, Elon did what it wanted to do offensively. There were 2 huge short yardage stops.
Yep.
I know Nate Clifton was in on both of those right in the middle, that were huge, or else it actually gets interesting late. How do they respond? Is it good for them to kind of have that bad second half going into this game? I mean, they already had to know this was a huge challenge, or would it have been better to have like the confidence from a good performance? I don't know, but they got a lot of work to do this week to try to get to try to manage some stops against Wake Forest. I think this could be a very high-scoring, fun game at the Bank on Saturday, First Bank Stadium. But which, by the way, tough deal for Vanderbilt with the weather Saturday. Game was delayed, and there was always the threat, and there was some lightning. We were in the press box. I'm like, man, that lightning looks close. Nashville SC game's been suspended with it. They kept it rolling, but the field looks a lot better. The new turf and everything. I think that the logo looks pretty good. I like the logo.
You're gonna get people upset now.
I'm sorry, Jimmy Wyatt. I like your logo, buddy. Get some gear with the logo on it. But unfortunate for them, that they didn't have, as big a crowd as you would hope, even though it's Elon. I'll be interested to see the turnout they get for this game Saturday. Yeah. This is a big one.
I will say, Will Shepherd through 2 games, 4 touchdowns so far.
Yeah,
he hasn't really made like the big plays yet, but he does have 4 touchdowns through 2 games.
Yeah, no, he's a very good player. You get Skinner going with McGowan and Shepard. You get Rocco Griffin and Patrick Smith at some point going with Ray Davis. Their offense is going to score points on people. I think a lot of people that they play this year.
We'll continue the conversation. Got more thoughts on college football to get to on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll also get to another team in our city right now that is rolling along as the postseason draws nearer. That's coming up next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
2, 3, 4, high school football is here. Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the mid-state for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Maine Kenny here. Kenny Maine here. All right, that one was on me. And hey, for new Caesars Sportsbook app users, your first bet's on Caesars. So if you don't win, you get it wrong, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and you can kick off week 1 with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code ROB to get in on the action. Then you can turn game day into payday, all season long. I like the Packers in week 1 against the Vikings. I'd probably be looking at the under in that game as well, but you take it any way you want to take it. Play your way and bet on more than just the final score. Wager on everything from touchdowns to total yards to catches. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. Don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets, win or lose with promo code ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
To know what makes Genesis Diamonds so special, you have to understand its origin. Back when owner Boaz Ramon used to sell diamonds only to jewelry stores.
I was selling to more than 700 jewelry stores. I didn't like what I saw.
What he saw in retail stores was grossly inflated prices, limited selection, pricing games, and a sales process that put the customer at a disadvantage. And it motivated this wholesaler to start his own retail revolution.
My passion was to build a place where the customer is going to be very informed. We're not going to hide any information from him. We're not going to have to get diamonds from other people. We're not going to mark up our prices to mark them down.
So Genesis was born. No middleman markups, no commission salespeople, industry-leading warranties, 30 times the selection, a no-holds-barred diamond education that empowers the customer, and a refreshing, relaxed, no-pressure atmosphere.
We created a place where the consumer is the king.
Come and get the royal treatment today. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks has a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit craneworks.com.
Listen to Stillman and Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 102.5 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets, courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
Chase McCabe.
You get a little fired up for that. Pads start popping.
Willy Donick.
And you're just thinking, this guy's unbelievable.
And Derek Mason.
Now I got to run a little bit faster so I don't get hit.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rex Road, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. I got some tickets to give away to see Kevin Hart coming up at Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, September the 10th. Joe, I figure if you're up this early on Labor Day, you deserve a chance to win tickets to Kevin Hart.
Yes, I agree.
Be calling number 5, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 5 will win a pair of tickets to see Kevin Hart at Bridgestone Arena coming up on Saturday, September the 10th, 615-737-1025. We are talking college football, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. JC in Goodlettsville on the text line says, Vanderbilt's logo growing on me as well. Elon is probably better than expected. Hawaii is even worse. The one corner has a target on his back until he proves he can defend better. Will from Nashville on the text line says, agree Vanderbilt will move the ball on many teams on their schedule if Wright stays healthy. What year is he? The defense is such a big issue. And, Robbie, I'm starting to buy into your 4 wins, but don't think Wake Forest will be one of them. They'll get one in the SEC. This is coming from Will on the text line.
And JC also saw you at Beach Friday night, by the way.
Did not go well for my beloved Hendersonville Commandos.
Sorry to bring it up. To answer your question there, Will, he he is a junior, a third-year true junior. So, so it's got a couple years of of him potentially. Who knows what he could be with more growth. I mean, next year, I also think, A.J. Swan could potentially challenge him next year. I mean, who knows? I don't know where it's going to go, but he is emotionally too, we've talked about this a ton, but there's no doubt that he's the catalyst there. Like his celebration with Clark-Lee after one of those touchdowns, I think the little flip to Ray Davis, which is a really nice little, just a nice decision and quick pass to go to the back. They were pretty jacked up about that. But
Jaden McGowan, 4 catches, 118 yards, including a 75-yarder. You talked about him before the season, so shout out to Joe Rexroad. That's why you listen to this program. Joe knows what he's talking about over here. Tell you what, that kid is quick, and I think he's got a chance as his career continues to develop here to be a pretty special guy for Clark-Lee and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, there's some other freshmen we haven't seen yet. They were really excited about too, but yeah, he no, without question. And they every once in a while in the opener they got him the ball, a little bit of jet sweep stuff too. He is he's going to have a good career at Vanderbilt, no doubt. So yeah, I mean Ben Bresnahan got involved with a couple catches. Still haven't seen a ton of him yet, but there's just a lot of guys for Mike Wright to get the ball to, and he's kind of just playing the point guard out there.
Big win for Vanderbilt over the weekend, and now we're going to learn more coming up against Wake Forest this weekend as well. Hopefully we can get a little healthier. I am interested to see what the crowd looks like. I haven't looked at the weather and what it's supposed to be this weekend, but it's hard. I'd be hard-pressed to imagine it's worse than what we just saw on Saturday. It was an ugly day on Saturday. It really was. But, I mean, Vanderbilt's 2-0. If you're a Vanderbilt fan, does that not fire you up? I mean, 2-0, heading into a game that's going to be a top 25 team in Wake Forest. I think the crowd should be pretty good on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I think I am looking at the weather, and it's like we're in that season where every day it's about a 50% chance of. So who knows what it'll actually look like by the time we get to Saturday. Cooling off a little bit. Not that you and I are necessarily
don't like it.
Fans of that, but I mean I'm still fine with like highs of 81.
Yeah,
that's cool. So it should if it doesn't, if you don't have the thunderstorm issue, you're probably talking about kickoff high 70s, low 80s. Yeah, it'll be very. I thought the student turnout was not bad the other day. Now, granted, at halftime, a lot of them went off into the evening to do whatever they do, but decent turnout on that front. So, yeah, I think this team. It would be good to see a good crowd there for this team. It's been a while.
Sam on the text line says the Doors will heal up and get over the jet lag. They'll handle Wake Forest this week.
Handle
it.
They will handle. Well, that is a good point, Sam. On the team's post-Hawaii trip, there's a lot of examples of teams struggling the week after the Hawaii trip. So
got to adjust that body clock a little bit.
But I mean, again, it's 35-10 in this game, so I don't know that I put that on this. I mean, I think they didn't play well. They got some issues on defense, but again, this is not a surprise. We knew that once they played good teams this year, they still have a long way to go to build a good defense.
Joe, another big win for another local team on Saturday night as well. Nashville SC getting it done 3-0 against, I guess I should say 3-0 against Austin FC. And Walker Zimmerman opened the scoring for Nashville SC, and then Hani Mukhtar late in the second half with a couple of goals to strengthen his MVP case. Nashville moves up to 4th in the Western Conference. So right now, they'd have a home playoff match. That's a big win against Austin, who's at number 2 in the Western Conference right now. But I flipped it over there. I got done watching the Alabama game, and I was watching Florida-Utah as well. And when Florida and Utah was done, I flipped it over to Nashville SC, and they look pretty good right now, man. They seem to have figured things out in terms of they're back to that defensive style, and Hani Mukhtar has just taken it to a different level. He was great last year. I think he's got a pretty good chance to win MVP this year. He is outstanding and was outstanding once again on Saturday night as well.
Yeah, I would think that, God, he'd be hard to beat for MVP. And again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've done a deep dive on that, but the guy has 21 goals. I mean, how deep a dive is needed here? And it's not just the 21 goals. It's watch him play. He is spectacular. Again, he's just every pro team in this state has at least one performer that relative to their league is, spectacular.
Yeah.
Top of the list. With Yossi, Ja, Mukhtar, Henry.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, and he's just on a different level, right? I mean, he had the hat trick last week. He scores 2 on Saturday, and he is just kind of dragging this team along with him offensively right now. I mean, it was funny because he makes the play on Saturday to score his first goal, and then the Austin FC is trying to press after that, and they just totally lose sight of him going down on the second goal there. He's unbelievable. The crowd was great. It was a delay in that game too on Saturday night, but the crowd was awesome for Nashville SC at Geodis Park over there. And if you could, it's been I think a little bit more of a tumultuous year for them thus far. They've had some stretches here where they've not played all that well, and defensively they were going through a stretch where they really struggled. But now you're up to 45 points. You're 4th in the West right now, and it kind of feels like you're settling in at the right time here. So it's been kind of a different route to get there this year than it was last year for Nashville SC, but it seems like they're settling in at the right time. And if you can end up through all this navigating, going back to the beginning of the season where you're on the road for 2 months to begin the season, if you end up getting a home playoff game to start things off, that's a pretty darn good finish to the season there. And then, we talk about this in hockey a lot, but I really feel like MLS is right there too. It truly is. You get in and anything can happen. Like you just got to get in the MLS, and you're going to open the door to give yourself a chance to make a deep run.
Oh, no doubt. And they're looking at 5 matches left. They do have, Austin, the return trip coming up.
Yeah.
Soon. You got the L.A., Galaxy. Boy, I tell you what, I know, first of all, Vanderbilt's schedule, a lot of that's just dictated by TV, but it's kind of tough for Vanderbilt that you have that 12:30 game, Nashville SC, also coinciding with your home game. Like, how many people do you think, like, there's Vanderbilt fans who have, like, Nashville SC season tickets who are, I don't know.
Is John Ingram going to, like, split himself in half, try to be at both at the same time?
So I would say that John Ingram was probably all in on the team he owns,
probably
right?
So.
Although he's invested a whole bunch in the other one. But, it's just too bad that you can't, like, even that day, if the Nashville SC game could be like a 3:30 game or something, or a night game, people could do both. But this is how it goes. The MLS and college football and the, ESPN people don't get together on scheduling.
They do not. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is finally game week for the Tennessee Titans. The NFL regular season is upon us. We'll give our first look at the matchup against the Giants. And I'll ask the question, how important is it simply for the Titans this week to beat somebody they're supposed to beat? We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You love the game.
The door's on the board.
Right three, sounds win.
We live the game.
Going up against that defense, he can make some plays and take that next step.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by Houston Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best Award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Hey football fans, Dak Prescott here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Hey guys, Jeremy here, General Manager at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars at 508 Church Street. Blend was voted Best Cigar Lounge in the world in 2017 and the Best Cigar Lounge in the country in 2020. It is the perfect spot to unwind after your workday or at nighttime. We are a trendy, upscale, luxurious bar experience. Visit Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars at 508 Church Street. Visit us online at blendbarcigar.com. We are luxury redefined.
This is Loyalty Lab Interview 6. Subject, grandmother's loyalty. Margie, what do you do when your grandson misbehaves?
Angels don't misbehave.
Here we study the most loyal, like you and... Oh, there goes the lamp.
Shouldn't have put it there.
Shell and the Fuel Rewards program has our members' backs, too. It's super easy to save on every gallon. Loyal, just like how you acted like that wasn't his fault.
Someone should clean that up before he gets hurt.
Yes, loyal, just like that.
10 years of FR.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Need assistance with door and window projects? The Home Depot can help. From inspiration and materials to ordering and installation, our free Millwork virtual apron service can get you moving and doing. Plus, we speak Spanish too. Our associates can help you tackle complex jobs without you leaving the job site, saving you time and money. Call us at 1-833-HD-APRON or visit homedepot.com/MVA. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game,
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive, this is Robbie Rexroad. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Labor Day morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2 coming up at 8 o'clock. Looking forward to that conversation with him. Joe, it's finally here, game week for the Tennessee Titans. The NFL back in action this week, beginning on Thursday night as the Bills take on the Rams. Looking forward to that game. Going to be a pretty good Thursday night game to begin the season. And then the first NFL Sunday of the year coming up this weekend. The Titans at home taking on the New York Football Giants, or at least what's left of the New York Football Giants. It's been a rough training camp for the Giants up there in terms of injuries and how things have gone there. But you do have Daniel Jones. You've got Saquon Barkley, who apparently is healthy heading into this year. Some decent receivers that New York has, but the Titans are 5.5-point favorites right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Joe, we'll get to kind of your thoughts on the matchup against the Giants here in just a second, but I want to start with this question. You know, a lot of people have already started to do it, and I think to a certain degree maybe we have too, and we've had people on the text line be like, hey, stop. Did you watch last year? They lost to the Jets, and they lost to the Texans. Stop. So I understand. How important is it, beyond just the simplicity of you want to start 1-0, you want to get the win, all that stuff, how important is it for the Titans at home this week to win a game and handle business against a team that they should beat? Because I will say they've struggled with that at times, and it's the NFL. Every team struggles with it to some degree. Like, you're going to run across some games where you look back and say, how did so-and-so beat so-and-so throughout the course of a given year? But it would be nice, if you're the Titans, for us to not be talking about next Monday the Jets from last year and the Texans from last year and now the Giants from this year. So how important is it to get off on the right foot from that standpoint?
Well, it's very important. And the thing is, if they do blow this, which, yeah, I'm going to say it. If they lose, then they blew it, okay? They didn't blow it like they blew it the last time they played football, obviously. No. That was also in the same stadium. But you blow this, and so some people say, okay, well, on brand for the Titans. Now they're going to go win in Buffalo Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you lose this game, now you get a nice Bills, Raiders, Colts triple play. And it's begging to dig a hole for yourself before you get to go play the Commanders on October 9th. So, yeah, it's a big deal to come out and take care of business. That's what I think this is. I think this is taking care of business. It's the NFL, and anyone in that league will tell you, come on, the Giants have guys, and they do. But I look at this like an absolute game that you should come out and win and get rid of this idea. Now, I mean, last year, what was the line? Do you have any remember?
On which one?
Titans Cards.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I think Titans were favored by,
I bet you 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, 4.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But that's still, like, look, the Cardinals, we knew they'd been a pretty good team. Figured they'd be at least pretty good last year.
It's a different situation than this Giants team, who I think has a chance to be hot garbage by the end of the year.
Exactly. That getting beat the way they did feels like losing a game that you totally shouldn't lose. But losing the game was fine. It's just how poorly they performed, which, of course, everybody brought up. Should have played more guys in the preseason or done this or that differently. I look at it more like they just got their butts kicked on a particular day, which happens this league. And also, I look at it like there were some guys out there who weren't ready to go, starting with number 77.
Yep.
There's a big difference last year to this year, I think.
Well, I mean, let me just go ahead on this Labor Day morning bold prediction. There's no way in the world he's going to play anywhere near as bad as he did last year on the season opener. There will not be a moment in this game on Sunday where he's coming back into the game and it's announced to the crowd and he gets booed. I don't think that's going to happen on Sunday against the Giants.
But hopefully someone will be performing very poorly.
Yes.
And we'll get
welcome back in.
Hey, everybody, pay your attention over here.
Here's Chris Jackson. He's
Caleb Farley.
He's given up 7 passes so far in the game.
Yeah, but that won't be Taylor Lewan this week, I don't think. So, Azeez Ojulari, by the way, are these Thibodeau's out, right?
I don't know if he's officially been ruled out yet, but given the original timeline of his injury, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, the timeline would suggest that it'd be tough. But Ojulari questionable, Leonard Williams questionable. Of course, we got actual injury reports coming out this week to Mike Vrabel's delight.
He's ready.
Adoree Jackson's revenge game coming back here.
Yeah, there is that.
Against the coach that he didn't have a great connection with.
Yeah, I guess not.
So
we think Vrabel's dialing up a play on the first play of the game to go right at Adoree Jackson.
He's going to pick at Adoree all day. Wherever Adoree is, throw it their way.
Well, it's just I think it's important from that standpoint. Number one, the number one reason is exactly what you laid out. You want to start 1-0 because your schedule coming up is pretty tough, and you're going to have some important AFC games that you're going to need to win. So I fully believe, you could say this every year, but every game for the Titans I think is going to count this year in terms of whether or not they make the playoffs and win the division. So, you may think it's an NFC game, and that's great, but you need to go out there and take care of business against this Giants team. But number two, there is kind of the narrative out there of the Titans of, all right, well, some of these games that you feel like they should just walk in and win have been very difficult and challenging for the Titans over the years. Now, I will say, I think people also act like every time they play a team that they should win, that they don't win, and that's not the case. Sometimes they go out there and they actually handle business and take care of those games and win those games. So I think it's more prevalent because when it doesn't happen, it occupies more of your attention. And I'm not saying it's not a problem, because I think that's, as much as we talk about Vrabel and his ability to motivate, to elevate when things look bad, like the LA game last year after you lost Derrick Henry. Probably what will always be the chief example of that is the Bills game on that Tuesday night. I mean, he is, no question, a master at getting his team ready to play when it looks like the odds are stacked against him. One thing that I would like to see, and I think Titans fans would like to see get a little better, is some of these games like the Giants and the Jets from last year and the Texans from last year. Those performances need to get better against teams that you have no business losing to.
Right. You beat the Texans the other time, although that was a little dicey.
It was.
for the 1 seed. And, he swept the Jags. So, yeah, there's plenty of examples of the Dolphins, although they kind of were surging. That was a team that you should beat. Thumped them. Lions. I mean, there's plenty of, over the years, there's way more examples of them beating the bad teams than losing to them. It's just
Jags, they hammered last year in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, they hammered them twice, So usually they're still successful there, but it's just such a contrast that we've seen with this, with some of the huge wins, and it's like, God, if you just beat the Jets, or you don't throw 4 picks against the Texans, et cetera, et cetera. This would be a huge disappointment for them to lose this game at home to open the season.
What's your first impressions of the Giants, particularly them on the offensive side of the ball coming in? You've got Saquon Barkley back and is healthy. Daniel Jones, which in what I think is a huge year for him at quarterback. And the Titans have lost Harold Landry heading into this matchup, so that is something that we can't ignore as they go out there. How do you overcome that loss? What sort of a role is Rashad Weaver going to play? How effective can he be if he's the one that ends up being the starter? There was no big name picked up over the weekend. They did pick up a guy from Pittsburgh whose name is currently escaping me, but no big name that the Titans picked up at outside linebacker. So my guess is they're going with Rashad Weaver, and I'm interested to see how he responds in a starting role.
Yeah, I think so. Now again, it could be Autry moved around, and that's the thing. That's a big question. Is Autry going to be on the questionable, list starting out the week or not? It is Derek Tuska, by the way.
Thank you.
A guy who also played with Dylan Radins at NDSU, for the record. But, so that was a depth pickup. They didn't go. And honestly, to me, something like that, I understand, JPP, but, I think a young guy like this to add depth probably was the best thing that you could have done there. Look, it's I look at the Giants. They do have good receivers, and Galladay is still a good player. I'm very interested to see what Wan'Dale Robinson looks like, who has had some very good Catter days, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is Kadarius Toney playing? There's another. We'll go Florida, Kentucky, which, by the way, big game Saturday. That's
stressed.
I bet you are. I'm excited about that one. They do have receivers.
Looks like Kadarius Toney's going to be in there.
Looks like he's going to be fine. So it's a pretty good receiver group. I mean, what is Saquon Barkley? This year is interesting. What is Saquon Barkley? What is Christian McCaffrey? What's Derrick Henry? I mean, I feel like we know what Derrick Henry is as long as he's healthy. But Barkley, man, that guy is a talent.
Yeah. Well, and the Titans have seen him once before and did a great job on him. Now, it's been 3 years since that happened, but they did a great job on him before. Kevin Byard talked last week about want to have a repeat performance on a guy in Saquon Barkley that big threat running the ball, also a big threat in their passing game as well. So when you start to talk about Daniel Jones in the passing game, if Barkley's healthy, he's going to be a big part of that as well.
This is from a Giants fan perspective, and I don't know how many Giants fans are just out on Daniel Jones, but this is Daniel Jones. This is his year. Are you a starter in this league or not? You're starting with this game Sunday, you're making your case.
By the way, Michelle just sent along I guess they're doing predictions on Good Morning Football of who's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Jason McCourty has picked Traylon Burks to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay. Well, we'll see. If that's the case,
that would be nice.
The Titans will be probably feeling pretty good in
I would say so.
Few months.
We'll continue the conversation on the Titans, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll get into, I think, an interesting discussion on Mike Vrabel coming up next as well. How should Vrabel be viewed in the coaching pantheon heading into this year? We'll get to that next. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
It's Family Leisure's 30th annual Labor Day sale.
End of summer clearance items like pools and rafts and pool toys to our new indoor products like massage chairs and theater seating.
Save up to 40% off on all new patio furniture. Save up to 70% on display model and discontinued items.
Family Leisure has truckloads of spas arriving daily. There are even some scratch and dent spas on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Home theater seating 3-piece sets start at only $9.99. That's Family Leisure's Labor Day sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Ever tried to shop for a diamond online? They all look great on the computer screen, but the fact is, most reputable jewelers like Genesis Diamonds wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
These are the diamonds that nobody wants to buy. We call them the B-quality diamonds.
That's Genesis owner Boaz Ramon, who says that even diamonds with the same grade and specs on paper can be very different when you see them up close in person, especially the ones from online dealers.
Those diamonds gonna look always cloudy or dirty. It's like you're wearing your glasses and there is fingerprints all over the glass. You just don't understand, or nobody told you that the material that this diamond was cut from was not the best material.
Why risk it? At Genesis Diamonds, they screen thousands of diamonds and only choose the best of the best for maximum brilliance, sparkle, and luster. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
I'm Boaz Ramon, and my accent is always on value.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
TD, your reaction to the news from Adam Schefter that Harold Landry's out for the season and what it means for the Titans?
It's terrible, terrible news for the Titans, and it means that they're going to have to rely on an assortment of players to step up. Right away, Rashad Weaver comes to mind, and he's someone that has done really well in the preseason the past couple years. You look at the way he was able to get to the quarterback and get sacks and disrupt the quarterback, leading to an interception for Joe Jones. Those are things that you got to bring to the table. But then there's two other names. Obviously Ola Adeni is someone that you look at. He is an ideal situational pass rusher. He's one of those squatty, really strong type of guys that could come off the edge and give some of the taller tackles some issues.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Hutton. Guys, do you need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
I know you don't like to look back at last year, but 12-5, number one seed, first time for this franchise since 2008, using a record 91 different players, most ever in a non-strike season. As Nashville president of the local chapter here, I present to you on behalf of the Pro Football Writers Association the NFL 21 NFL Coach of the Year.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
You guys can clap. Put your phones down and clap. Appreciate it, thank you, Teresa.
You bunch of homers.
Yes. A very cheery Mike Vrabel a couple of weeks ago when presented with the PFWA Coach of the Year by Teresa Walker.
I texted Kaharski, I'm like, who clapped, dude? And he was like, well, I don't have a problem with it. Mike, so you clapped, you homer. Good to know. The Kaharski is a homer narrative lives on.
Between that and the T-shirts, he's off and running this year, isn't he?
He's sitting there in his Music City Malik shirt, doing cartwheels.
Way to go, Mike! Good job. Can't wait to
make
talk
fun
to
of
him on
Kaharski
Wednesday.
on this fine holiday.
Gonna be good stuff. So, obviously, Vrabel is a very good coach. He's won Coach of the Year last year. We've talked ad nauseum about the job that he and his staff did last year with the different players that they used and 91 players getting the number one seed in the AFC, all that stuff. When you look at him now, heading into this year, given the fact that Sean McVay just won the Super Bowl, obviously Bill Belichick is still out there coaching in New England. I think Kyle Shanahan's a great coach out there in San Francisco. I mean, you can go up down the list of good coaches in this league. I'm not asking you to rank Vrabel, but as you look at Vrabel and kind of how he fits in as a head coach in this league, how do you think Mike Vrabel should be viewed in the coaching pantheon, given the success that he's had, albeit he does not have a Super Bowl, has not been to a Super Bowl? How should Mike Vrabel be viewed at this point heading into this season with the Titans in terms of the top-tier coaches around the league?
So when you bring this up as something to talk about, I immediately say, you know what, I'm just going to take a spin around, see some of these rankings of the best coaches in the league. So, for example, the Sporting News has head coach rankings going in, okay? And I think what you see a lot is you'll see a McVay real close to the top. I mean, Andy Reid. This one has Belichick third, which is just – it's funny because some people would be like, come on, like Belichick has to be first, right? Some people would say that.
Some people would definitely say that.
But
I don't know that I would say that.
Yeah, well, these Shanahan's up there. But this particular ranking, number 5, Matt LaFleur, Green Bay Packers. Down here to number 10, Mike Vrabel, the Titans.
Really?
Like, just for just one example right there, I think that's outrageous. And I
do too.
I'm not.
Look, I like LaFleur, obviously.
He's the coach of your team.
But, I mean, I'm taking Vrabel over LaFleur. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't see how you can. And this is the problem with let's rank the coaches. Because, Pete Carroll, for example, was a twice fired, short tenure guy in the AFC East, goes to USC, does great things with that program. Then we saw what he did. Like for example, he would have been ranked way down at the bottom as, just a failed coach. He tried to coach crappy teams, and he failed because he had crappy teams. Bill Belichick was a 500 coach, and then all of a sudden Tom Brady. The Tom Brady magic happened, and that's not all that happened. A lot of stuff happened. He did a lot of great things, some cheating things too. But it's always interesting. Like to me, you have to try to grade on a curve. You can't just say, "Well, Matt LaFleur, look at his record. Well, he's number 5. He's 39-10. He's also 2-3 in the playoffs. And I mean, do you put any of it on him?
For sure. Well, he also has back-to-back MVP at quarterback.
Right. So. And this is where, well, if you're just auto Belichicking to the top, I mean, maybe you shouldn't, right? It's so tough because you have to look at what these coaches have. Like, who out there do I think is a really good coach who maybe just hasn't been able to show it yet because I'm trying to think. There's got to be somebody. Like Robert Saleh is a guy, actually, I think he might be a really good coach. We'll see if we ever find out about that with the Jets. We may never actually find that out because of
Dan Campbell,
who he's coaching.
Could be great.
Yeah.
You seem less convinced
I gotta,
than I do.
I got to say, we all like Dan Campbell.
Of course we do.
But after watching Hard Knocks, I can't tell you that I feel confident that he's a good coach. I'm confident that he is a very likable guy.
Okay.
It's like, oh, he's hilarious. I mean, you got like their core. You got Deuce Staley and Aaron Glenn like talking trash to each other on every play. Like, guys, are you going to coach your players?
Yeah.
It's like talking trash to each other. Like, you're not playing anymore. What are you doing? And then Campbell's just like, I got a lot of coffee in me. I don't know, man. A mighty team that will not yield.
Feels like Joe's trying to maybe lower expectations heading into the year. So when Campbell overachieves, we could celebrate it on this program.
Young Joe Rexroad inside of you can be really happy.
Celebrate it on the program.
It would be awesome to see him have some success.
Restore the roar.
See, like Vrabel, Dan Campbell is a great debate in terms of if they actually had an octagon match.
Correct.
But for example, I just think Vrabel is a much better coach. I have a big belief. Like, I still think Tomlin belongs way high on the list. I think Harbaugh belongs way high on the list. Like, those guys are listed here behind LaFleur. It's like, God, come on. Like, Tomlin and Harbaugh have done so much more than freaking Matt LaFleur. And again, I'm not like some Matt LaFleur hater, But this is such a great example of, well, look at your record and here you go. Come on.
Well, a guy that I think's a good coach. I don't know that I would go really good coach, but a guy that I think is a good coach that just has absolutely no chance because of the place that he's in right now. I mean, Ron Rivera of Washington.
I was going to bring him up.
He's a good coach.
Yep. And he's a proven good coach. Yes. That's a great call. At least we know he's a good coach, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, is Arthur Smith a good coach?
He's a good offensive coordinator. We know that.
Based on what he did here, I feel like he has a chance to be a good head coach. Will we find out before he gets fired in Atlanta? I mean, I know it's only year 2, but, I don't know. And this is where – and that's where it's hard for some coaches. Like, again, Pete Carroll's a great example. Bill Belichick's a great example. Like, the jobs that you get typically aren't filled with great players. And so, like, a lot of would-be good coaches just don't have the time to prove it. Vrabel – I mean, it's a great situation for him. Let's remember that. He came in and took over a team that had just won a playoff game and had a good foundation. But I just think what he's done pretty consistently since then should put him high. Like, here's CBS, another one. They got him 10th.
Yep.
And again, LaFleur 7th. Like, guys. Now, at least this ranking, this is Cody Benjamin goes probably more like, it's like Reed, McVay, Belichick, Tomlin, Harbaugh. I mean, I think those are guys who need to be up there. But then again, like, what about Pete Carroll? Like, as crappy as they're going to be this year, which I assume now that I have to just look at them and, like, they're just trying to get the QB next year, right?
You would think.
Is that like Pete Carroll's like, give me a tank year, I'm fine.
Oh, look, he thinks he's got 2 number 1 quarterbacks in Drew Lock and Geno Smith. He said so last week. So
yes,
maybe he knows something we don't.
He's very good at press conferencing. But, I mean, Pete Carroll, right now he's down there at 8, just behind LaFleur. But are we sure? I think also, by the way, Shanahan 9th, I think that's low. Like, McVay way up here and Shanahan, like, down.
Shanahan's a great coach.
Shanahan is you could make a case for him for as good as anyone right now.
What he's able to get, first off, he's going to a Super Bowl and an NFC title game with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. And secondly, what he's able to generate in the running game without ever really having, like, that elite back is pretty incredible. Like, there are going to be so many teams this year that try to do in some form of fashion what they did with Deebo Samuel last year. It's a copycat league. We know that somebody's going to try it. Like, Shanahan's he's a really good coach.
Yeah, if not for that Super Bowl as OC, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's but you live and learn. He's got to be up there. But yeah, I mean, to me, I guess I'd have a hard time putting Vrabel ahead of people who I think have proven it over time. Harbaugh, Tomlin, Belichick. I do think McVay, Shanahan, Reed. But I don't know that I'd put him underneath anybody else. I wouldn't put him under McDermott. I wouldn't put him. Although Carroll to me has a case to be higher. He just has a bad team right now. So then people drop him down. No, Pete Carroll. Well, I think he's demonstrated that he's a pretty good coach, hasn't he? There's a lot of not great coaches too. By the way,
he'd probably be viewed as a better coach if he ran the ball on one particular play.
There is that too. It's like Tom Brady, the GOAT.
Here we go.
But my God, he should. Those guys should get like bouquets from him. Carroll and Kyle Shanahan. I love both you guys. I love you.
Yeah.
Thank you for not just calling one running play. There's one ring gone. Thank you for not just running the ball. There's 2 rings gone.
Always get your shots in at Brady.
I'm not getting shots in.
615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the discussion. How do you think Mike Vrabel should be viewed in the coaching pantheon? By the way, it's like the 4th time I've used the word pantheon. It's a pretty good word.
It's a good word.
On Labor Day morning.
A plethora of pantheons.
615-737-1025. More of that next. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Every Monday at 6, it's the Eddie George Show live from 6th and Peabody.
We're excited at Tennessee State.
Each week, the former Titan and current TSU head coach will be joined by Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton.
All of America was watching this game if you're interested in college football.
And special guests to break down the Tigers' latest game and talk all things football.
This league is forever changing.
The Eddie George Show, Mondays at 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Labor Day is here, and that means huge savings in every department at Electronic Express. Get up to 40% off the latest 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. That's not all. Save big on laptops, speakers and headphones, smart home, and more. Up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. The Labor Day sales event is going on now at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Who do you call when you need a new floor? R&S Wood Flooring, or refinish the old one that you've got. R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring. Bring beauty to every room in your home. R&S Wood Flooring.
R&S Flooring is Nashville's leading flooring company for over 30 years. Say no to inflation and save big this summer at R&S Flooring. Save on all hardwoods, tile, carpet, and LVT flooring. Take advantage of our 12 months same as cash financing and don't make a payment until 2023. Simply go online at rnsflooring.com and schedule your free estimate today. No waiting, no hassles. It's that easy. Call 615-771-0084 today and schedule your free in-home estimate. Or visit us online at rnsflooring.com and start visualizing your new floors today.
R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Castrol Edge Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every tank. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $37.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
O'Reilly.
Improve fuel mileage with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts. A clean fuel system can increase your vehicle's performance and gas mileage. Get Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner starting at $9.99 and earn 10 times O Rewards points on your purchase. Get the most out of every gallon. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts or shop O'ReillyAuto.com today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Coming up on the Monday edition of Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Hey, we're here on Labor Day. We'll talk to Teron Davenport as Giants Week is here at 11. Also, former Titans punter Brett Kern in for the 12 o'clock hour. We start at 10 on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll have the Rex Ramp with Joe Rexroad coming up at 7:45. Corey Curtis from News 2 joining the show at 8 o'clock as well. Right now, talking Titans and taking your thoughts on Mike Vrabel. How should Mike Vrabel be viewed among NFL coaches heading into this season, the reigning NFL coach of the year? So we've gone through a lot of the established coaches in this league. You know, some of who is ahead of Vrabel on some of these lists that you pointed out is kind of amazing. Like, again, I love Matt LaFleur. Probably doesn't need to be ahead of Mike Vrabel on this list. I do wonder how much of it is the postseason. I don't know if lack of success is not really the word I want to put out there, because they did get to the AFC title game with Vrabel, and they've not been there in a long time prior to that point. But you are talking about 3 playoff games in a row with Kansas City in the AFC title game, the Baltimore game, and then Cincinnati. Like, I do wonder how much especially the last 2 of the postseasons that have ended quickly for the Titans play into this discussion when you start to talk about Vrabel and his place in the league among coaches.
Well, this discussion, yeah, and this discussion also, it actually is kind of like when we've had these Tennessee-Kentucky program arguments to me. But it's a little bit different, but it's more like, so if you've won a Super Bowl and someone's putting together a coach list, does that just automatically mean you're there? I mean, it doesn't for Pete Carroll on these lists, you know?
I mean, would you put Doug Peterson ahead of Mike Vrabel?
That's a great point. No, I wouldn't, but he's got that, right? I mean, to me, there's there's got to be – I value over time demonstrating that you can have a certain level of consistency with different rosters, different quarterbacks. And that's still as important as anything, right? That you've demonstrated – like what LaFleur's done so far, look, I think he's proved a lot. They've been good. Yeah, I think he's a good coach.
Yeah.
But it blows me away that he would be this side. Like the guys who over time have done it and been a certain level of consistency, Belichick, Reed, Tomlin, Harbaugh, and Carroll. Okay? And then you throw in Shanahan and McVay. And so then I think you start talking. But with Vrabel, compared to like certainly LaFleur and some of these other guys, I think Vrabel, it's been long enough that he's kind of he's demonstrated a certain level of of performance that he can get out of his teams. And the playoff run is a huge part of it. But like you said, the last couple playoffs have been bad. So, I mean, ultimately, that's where you have to get judged, right? Just like any player or team or anything, which, again, is why, like, with LaFleur, I'm like, need to see them be in a Super Bowl.
Well, the one thing that we know about Vrabel that I think it's harder to really determine with some of the other coaches we're having this conversation with because we just don't watch them quite as much. I think Vrabel is a fabulous in-game coach. Like in terms of the decisions, clock management, when to go for it, when to not. I think for them, he's not perfect. He's going to make mistakes, and there have been some calls over the years where you're just like, I don't know if I like that one from Vrabel. But by and large, I think he's really good in game. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm watching every last second of Kyle Shanahan in game, although I've seen a pretty good amount of Kyle Shanahan over the years. But that's the part of this that's more difficult to really nail down because you can watch the league all you want to, but we pay very close attention to the Titans here. We know what Vrabel's like in game. It's hard to have that same feel with, I don't know, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh or Belichick to a certain degree in New England. But, Saleh in New York, like what's he like in game? I have no clue. I saw him play against the Titans last year.
Beat Vrabel.
Yeah. I mean, did do that. So, but that's where I think Vrabel's really good. I think as far as in-game coaching is concerned, I think he's really, really good.
Yeah, I think so too. Which is funny because, of course, early there was a lot of complaining about certain, being too aggressive here and there, or score time situation, trick plays, et cetera, et cetera. He's been really good, and there's been some examples of where you had to have ridiculously good coaching to perform the way you did. You mentioned like the Bills game, the COVID year, but the Texans game will always be talked about with Vrabel. Yes, you pay close attention to him, and of course, head coaches are very scrutinized in this league and in each NFL city. But I gotta think that he's got as many good marks on him in terms of in-game stuff where everybody could see the head coach made a difference. It's got to be up there with anybody in the last few years.
Well, to me, where he won Coach of the Year last year was that stretch of Bills, Chiefs, Colts, Rams, and you go through and you win all those games. Like to me, we looked at that stretch and said, man, if you could get out of there 2-2, you'd be living right. If you're the Titans and you go win all those games and you win two of them, well, I guess one of them without Derrick Henry and one of them with Derrick Henry playing on a broken foot. The Saints game after that, the Niners game, you come back and win. There were some moments last year where they were so shorthanded, and he was able to get them to win the game anyway. That I think a lot of people started to take notice. Like Alex on the text line right now says, until the Titans win a big game, either an AFC Championship or a Super Bowl, the national media is not going to give the Titans any respect. It seems, and I hear that, and I guess I buy it to a certain degree. But I also feel like the conversation around Vrabel league-wide, like most people know Vrabel's a pretty good coach, I think.
Well, he won Coach of the Year, so
Yeah.
I don't think you can complain about national media respect with coaching, right?
No.
I mean, and you're right on all those. That stretch is key. Ultimately, the fact that they pulled out that win at Houston and got the 1 seed, and everybody talked about the 91 number.
Yep.
Those are all big factors in his favor. But, I mean, that's a total show of respect for the Titans that the national media gave them. So even it is possible.
Well, let me throw this out to you. In terms of Titans coaches, all time, Jeff Fisher had a very long run here. So Vrabel is not even close to approaching the longevity that Fisher brought on the table, and he may not approach it. I don't know. That's hard to do in today's NFL. But I think it's pretty clear that those are the two. Like, those are the two best coaches in franchise history. And I watched a lot of Jeff Fisher. I think a lot of people maybe hammer him a little bit too much around here. Everybody makes the 8-8 jokes and 7-9, all that stuff. He did a pretty good job while he was here with the Titans. Like, I think Vrabel is a better coach than Jeff Fisher ever was.
Yeah, but there's a great example. Well, Jeff Fisher has a Super Bowl on his resume, right? So, if you want to compare, their tenures right now, I guess I'd give the edge to Fisher because of that and the longevity. Who do I think is a better coach in their time in the NFL relative to the rest of the league? Yeah, I think it's Vrabel.
Yeah.
Now, you said franchise. You do mean Titans, right?
Titans, yes.
I don't want to hear any Bum Phillips disrespect.
You will not hear Bum Phillips disrespect coming out of me. No. Just in time to the Titans. That's why I said Titans.
Legendary Bum Phillips. But, yeah, I think that he is the best coach they've had. And I think he's got longevity ahead for him, although you never know. You don't know in this league. It is possible this team starts to recede and go the wrong way. If they get some things going against them on the health front, I mean, they're coming up on probably a crossroads pretty soon. I think I'd still call the window slightly cracked right now. But it's a big year. It's a big year for him and them in that way.
Well, and as the roster continues to evolve here, how can Vrabel keep this team competitive? Like, at the end of the day, I think he's a great coach. I think he's really good in game. I've talked about those things. But he points this out as quick as anybody. At the end of the day, at some point it's about players and what you have at your disposal and what you don't. And I think it's a really good skill that he and John Robinson appear to have, where going and, like, finding guys off the street and getting them ready to play. Like, Dontrell Hilliard's a great story. Didn't have a job last year, and he came in and was a big part of the offense. Has a chance to be a big part of the offense this year too. Like, the ability to do that and coach guys up is great. But at some point, like, if the talent continues to go the other way, then how does Vrabel handle that? Because it's still a players' league.
Right. And how much is the drafting, the recent drafting, going to catch up with them? I mean, the offensive line it's the biggest concern, and to me it's the thing that could derail this team. And also, if Petit Frere is a good pick and the coaching is good and Aaron Brewer plays like the people in the building feel like he will, then it could be a pleasant surprise this year. But yeah, it's I don't know where things are going to go from here. Like this draft class, even the 21 draft class, there's still like a lot of things to find out. Caleb Farley may end up becoming a heck of a starter multi-year, and they're going to want to give him a second deal. And it may not come close to that. There's so many individual stories like that that'll help tell the bigger story. But right now, I think Vrabel's easily a top 10 coach in the NFL. I think he's earned that. And will he? To get any better than that, I think you got to have playoff success.
I need to go check OddsShark and see if they've updated the odds on the first NFL coach to be fired. I think Vrabel was like 7th or 8th on the list at one point of like the first coach to be fired this year, and can't see that one happening.
Like, that's just, what, like,
I don't understand it.
What's the process?
I guess
that's just not thinking.
I guess their thought process is, and this is just total guess, they were the number 1 seed last year, and maybe they don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, so that puts him in danger. But he did just sign a contract extension too. Does that not factor in?
Yeah. I guess it's we think the Titans are going to be terrible. They're going to go 6-11.
Yeah.
Which, even if that happened, I don't think he'd be fired at all. But, that's got to be it.
Very interesting stuff. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it's time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You're listening to Robbie and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends and sign up today at thegamenashville.com. Pick the 3 football underdog teams each week you think will win for a chance to win weekly prizes. Like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life. With a donation of your blood, supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
It's Family Leisure's 30th annual Labor Day sale.
End of summer clearance items like pools and rafts and pool toys to our new indoor products like massage chairs and theater seating.
Save up to 40% off on all new patio furniture. Over 100 sets on display. Save up to 70% on display model and discontinued items.
Family Leisure has all the big brand names in casual furniture on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Truckloads of spas arriving daily. Over 50 spas on display and on sale. There are even some scratch and dent spas on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Family Leisure has above-ground pools in stock and ready for immediate installation at clearance sale prices.
But the Labor Day sale also kicks off the fall indoor product season.
Enjoy the movie theater experience at home with home theater seating. 3-piece sets start at only $9.99.
Family Leisure has massage chairs starting at just $9.99 as well.
Pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, even ping pong tables are all on sale this weekend.
That's Family Leisure's Labor Day sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Need assistance with door and window projects? The Home Depot can help. From inspiration and materials to ordering and installation, our free Millwork virtual apron service can get you moving and doing. Plus, we speak Spanish too. Our associates can help you tackle complex jobs without you leaving the job site, saving you time and money. Call us at 1-833-HD-APRON or visit homedepot.com/MVA. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Kick off football season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code PLAY to get in on the action. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. Don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with promo code PLAY. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Informative.
They played a lot of power play time together back in the day.
Insightful.
It's a great addition to this team.
And just three guys being dudes.
On the sideline in shorts and a t-shirt. Hanging out, watching the game.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
No such thing as bad press.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
This is
and
my
the
life.
Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robbie and Rex Road, here on ESPN, 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexroad here on Robbie and Rex Road. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. Joe Rexroad's Rant of the Day. A beautiful song bringing us back in today. Joe Rexroad, I turn things over to you.
It's actually it's a fitting one today because that is, as I've told you guys, Beach Boys' Kokomo, one of those songs along with Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy, that was always on my local radio station when I woke up, and I hated getting, like you're a kid, you're getting up for high school, you're like, ugh. So today, Labor Day, 4:30 a.m., that song would have actually been perfect then. But I want to talk about another song today.
Okay.
And a trend, it's already going to be annoying. It's going to be much more annoying as we go. And this is an amazing song that I love that I think we all, I would hope, have some love for. This is the song by a duo, a Dutch electro house group called Blaster Jacks. The song is Narco.
Oh, yes.
And you get the idea. Everyone knows this song, right? I mean, everybody who follows sports knows this song. Okay, it's a great song. It's the intro song for Edwin Diaz, the Mets closer. This has been an incredible season for the Mets. He's been incredible. That song is like the whole place goes nuts every time. And they actually had the dude Timmy Trumpet is the guy who played the trumpet. It is a trumpet, I guess.
Yeah.
On Narco, and he actually was recently. Did you guys see this?
Oh,
he was at the Mets game and he played. And I was like,
live.
Well, at first I saw it and I'm like, is that guy actually playing or is this like lip sync trumpeting? But I think he actually played, and it's like this awesome scene. By the way, it's become another thing where, like, the Mets lost to the Nationals and the Braves played Narco.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool. But it's so cool. If you have not seen this yet, just go, search it up on whatever social media you use. Edwin Diaz, Narco, any of his entrances when that place loses it is awesome.
Yeah.
And you know what? It is going to be a total pain in the ass in college football. I got to call out Vanderbilt. I said earlier on the show, I like the state. The field looks better. The logo looks real nice there. This is a bigger thing too than Narco. I know now. We know Vanderbilt and Alabama for sure are using it. Alabama used it. Maybe it was our halftime. It's going to be everywhere.
Well, Will Compton was doing it at the Nebraska game with the trumpet.
See, it's just
like he had the trumpet in hand and the song was playing and he was going back and forth with it.
So this is like, this is going to be like maybe like the Macarena. If anybody remembers that, absolutely mind-numbing.
The worst.
You go out, and the thing is, if you were of bar age in the 90s, inevitably,
I don't know what you are talking about.
What's that?
It's a good song. I don't know what you are talking about.
God, you go out and then, oh, look, everybody's going to do the Macarena. That was banned at my wedding, by the way. So this song is going to be way overdone, and Vanderbilt is now using it for the third down music. So when there's a third down, like the opposing quarterback is, oh my God,
it's Edwin Diaz. Oh my gosh.
Like based on Elon's performance the other night, you should get rid of Narco right now. But it's going to be everywhere. And here's another thing. I hate the playing of piped in music between plays. If you have a band,
use the band.
Use the band. And there was a band. Vanderbilt doesn't have. I think it's it's like they don't have the huge marching band like a lot of places do, but they do have people up there with band instruments. Do a little traditional little horn and then get to the play. I don't want to hear the first few notes of the top 12 to 14 songs on the charts right now. And that's what we had the other night. It was like the start of some song, and then they played a lot of them multiple times, and then you get to the play. No, don't do it. I understand people think, I'm sure there's a marketing research thing out there that tells you, oh yeah, the kids, they'd be a little bit more engaged if you play these hot hit songs. No, that's to me, that messes with one of the great things about college football. If there's any music between plays, it should be made by a marching band.
Well, I don't know why in sports or really in life in general, when we find something that's cool and that works for something, like this Edwin Diaz thing, it's cool. It's a cool walkout song. The crowd goes nuts, and now everybody around sports is like, oh, we got to take it. We got to use it. Why can't you just leave things be? That's not yours. It's their thing. Now, let it be their thing.
Now, I hear you. Now, someone who is in marketing, in sports marketing is going to tell you, well, fine, but my job is to do something that gets people excited, and everybody loves this song. For example, Gangnam Style, right?
Oh,
Remember
God.
that? I mean, like everyone used it, right?
That was bad.
But I'll tell you, because back then, I was at Breslin Center for a lot of basketball games, and that whole place got rocking. So it's like, okay. But if you at least play these songs at times that stuff like that could be played, I can live with it. The between plays or the third down song, no.
Well, one of the
don't.
first times in Butch Jones's tenure with Tennessee that I wanted to throw a sandwich at him was with the third down for what thing with Little John in there instead of turn down for what. It was third down for what. On defense, I was like, what is this crap? Third down for what?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's trying to come up with these things. The bigger, I'm just saying, we are going to. I can't imagine not liking this song because I seriously love that horn. It's just awesome.
It's good.
And yet, I think that by the end of this,
I'm
season,
already tired of it. I'll be honest with you.
Are you?
Oh yeah, I'm already done with it.
I'm going to get there, and it's going to. Vanderbilt won't be we will see it. We will see it in a lot of places. And that's the song itself. I get it. I mean, this is going to be like the Bud Light commercials where everyone for about 2 years
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like Michael Scott, 3 years later. But that is to be expected. Music, the bigger issue is music, piped in music between plays. Also at NBA games too. I don't like that either. They're piping in music when the other team.
They're bringing the ball down the court. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, old man yelling at cloud time.
Yeah, that one was.
I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like that. You like that?
Doesn't bother me in the NBA.
No, NBA is more of an entertainment-y.
But they're playing basketball.
Yeah, but the regular season in the NBA is.
Yep. Okay. So some like a few bars of a song, and then you just what does that do?
Well, what's hilarious to me is especially when you've got a team that's running a quick offense. So let's say Tennessee's on the road.
Right, there's no way to do that for them.
Well, but they do. They try. So then Hendon Hooker's lined up, and they've got some song blaring out there, and it's he's having to scream over the top of the crowd and the music coming. It's just let the band play. It's all good.
I mean, at Tennessee, and I wish I would have been paying closer attention to this Thursday. But, yeah, I mean, when they're on offense, they don't do anything in the stadium, as they shouldn't, because they're about to run a play right now.
They do have that. They still have third down music. It's not third down for what anymore. It changes.
For what?
There's a little AC/DC in there sometimes. But
yeah. Okay. And that's
play Rocky Top or something.
I think to be.
Yes. Yeah. Play Rocky Top always.
I'm trying to think. Somebody, maybe it was Michigan State, Hell's Bells, the beginning of Hell's Bells, from AC/DC. Okay. Fine. People
well, that's the other thing though, right? There's a lot of third downs in a game. At some point, if you're standing in the crowd, you're like, oh my gosh, okay. They've done this 24 times today. Let's get to something else.
Yeah. William from Madison says, I don't know what you're talking about, Joe. Elon was 3 for 15 on third down. Gosh. Maybe you have a point. Maybe that was actually the key. It was just the other downs. They were giving up big plays in the second half.
Maybe. I don't know. This has been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexroad. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans as they prepare for the New York Giants coming in Week 1. That's next. This is Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that. It's got to be there. That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Kenny Mayne here with this declaration for new Caesar Sportsbook app users from Caesar. Your first bet's on us, is what Caesar told me to say. That means if you don't win, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesar Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesar.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Hutton for the Low T Center. Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-injected home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680, or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Lions, Tigers, and tailgates. Oh my. The college football season is always a great time of year. Besides the jerseys, the face paint, and the foam fingers, there's the food. And nothing gets you more fired up for game day than Eckrich smoked sausage. They're naturally hardwood smoked and have the perfect blend of spices. From buffalo sausage dip to sausage chili mac and cheese, Eckrich smoked sausage is a quick way to bring flavor to all your tailgate meals. Visit Eckrich.com for easy, one-of-a-kind sausage recipes. Eckrich, you do you.
Listen to Stillman & Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 102.5 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robbie Rexroad. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 3, Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Labor Day morning. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. This is otherwise known as the NFC North Power Hour.
Oh, yes, it is. The only place, I was telling Corey this yesterday, the only place where I could talk about one of my favorite subjects, the Chicago Bears. And as he brought up, we can fit some Lions talk in there, too.
You know, we need to find a Vikings person to complete this quartet.
We really do. We'll be on the search for some Vikings personnel somewhere.
We can bring in Audra Martin.
Maybe so. Audra. We can get Tatum Everett. Many choices.
That's right.
We can go get. No question about it. We could join this NFC North powwow. So, Corey, we finally made it. It is game week here in the NFL, game week for the Tennessee Titans. And we were talking about this earlier, beyond the obvious of winning the game and starting the season 1-0, how important is this Giants game just from the standpoint, if you're the Titans, of taking care of business against a team that you should take care of business against?
Well, I think it's really important because the schedule is really brutal. I mean, they don't just play a first-place schedule. They play a first place in the AFC schedule. As I've said, their 17th game is the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. That's not all 17th games are created equally, okay? So, you know, they've got to play the NFC East, which includes the Cowboys and the Eagles this year. I think they're playing the AFC West with the Chargers and the Raiders and the Chiefs. So, I mean, they've got a gauntlet to run through this year, and you know, look, for every one of these that you lose against a team that you should take care of business against at home, you got to steal one. You got to steal one that you shouldn't win, and that of course is tough to do. And you know, Rabel usually has his teams ready on long rest in long preparation. Last year's opener was crazy because it was really bad. So I expect them to be really ready for this one.
So, Corey, obviously since we talked last time, things have changed pretty dramatically in terms of the pass rush, the outside linebacker situation. There are a few guys on this roster who would be bigger losses. I don't think you get to 10 before you get to Landry, and you may not get much past 5. But what's the impact in your mind, and does it change just your big picture thought on this team?
I think it's massive because he plays a lot of snaps. And, when you talk about a natural pass rusher, I mean, this is a guy with a lot of bend, a guy with closing speed, a guy who can finish 12 sacks a year ago. And I think it's a huge loss. And, do I think they can still win the AFC South without him? Yes. Do I think they can get to the Super Bowl without him? I think that's incredibly hard. Because, you're talking about getting through Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You don't beat those guys with corners. You beat those guys by hitting them. I mean, that's just how you do it. And so when you're missing your guy who's arguably the best at it, that's a big loss. And I really wonder, look, we all like Rashad Weaver. He had a nice preseason. He didn't have a knock your socks off preseason. He had a nice preseason to where you thought, hey, we feel good about bringing him in for, 30, 35%, 40% of the snaps in the game to give, Landry and Bud Dupree some downtime. He's a nice big guy, at the edge, still get the quarterback. There's a big difference between that and replacing a guy with 12 sacks. A huge difference. And maybe he comes out and Carlos hauls it and gets 9 sacks this season and is just like the unsung hero of the football team. But I think that is not a fair expectation to put on him. He has to go out and play his best and do his job for sure. But, sacks don't come that easily in this league. And, I'm very interested to see how the first month of the season goes and if John Robinson gets aggressive in trying to bring somebody in for this season to fill that void.
So, Corey, with that in mind, there was already going to be pressure on Bud Dupree heading into this year with the money that he's being paid. How much more is there now? And based on what you've seen throughout camp in the preseason, how confident are you that Bud Dupree can rise to the occasion and be the player that the Titans need him to be this year?
Well, look, the last 5 games or so of last year and in the playoff game, Bud Dupree was healthy and really, really good. So that's the player I expect to see. What are the sack numbers for Bud Dupree? I don't know. I don't know. But I know Bud Dupree's a good football player, so the only thing I worry about Bud Dupree is being out there for 17 games. That's it. Because if he's out there for 17 games, I expect him to turn in a quality season for the Titans. Whether Harold Landry is out there or not, I expect him to be the same player.
So, Corey, Aaron Brewer, Nicholas Petit-Frere, these are new starters in the area of the team that I think is the biggest question mark still.
Absolutely.
Of those two, by let's say by mid-season, which spot do you think we'll be talking about more in terms of a problem, if at all?
Oh, wow. So you're asking me to predict someone's demise.
Or success. Rexroad's bringing it this morning.
I guess I would have to say right tackle because I feel like we've seen Aaron Brewer do it. I mean, Aaron Brewer's played for this team, and when he's played, he's done reasonably well. And now we'll see. The other thing is how much help are they willing to give Petit-Frere? Or is he on an island and is he by himself? Are they going to Ken Wisenhunt him, or are they going to Mike Mularkey him and give him help? I mean, that's kind of the question I've got out there is how much is he on his own? How prepared is he to be on his own out there? So I think for me, and I like Petit-Frere, and I think long term he can be a guy that is a long term starter for the football team. But he's got to prove it. He's got to prove it, and we'll see how much he's up for to start the season. So I would say that's a bigger question, for them in that department. For the long haul, you're probably going to want a bigger body in there at left guard. But you know what? Maybe I'm wrong.
Corey Curtis from News 2 on with us here on Robbie and Rex Road. So, Corey, sticking with predictions, at what point this year do you think people around the league actually know who David Long Jr. is? Because I think he's going to be a pretty big force for the Titans this year.
Never. They're not. Look. No, look, they're not. Most people are predicting the Titans to not even make the playoffs this year, right? This is a team with 6 straight winning seasons, back-to-back AFC South titles, number 1 seed in the AFC last year. Yes, they flamed out in round 1. I'm keenly aware of that. But they're one of the best coached teams in the league. And they've got a personnel department which has made failures. Obviously, we've seen them, but they've also succeeded in being able to replace a lot of bodies and find people that fit what they do as a football team. And, when you watch the national media, they're talking about Malik Willis supplanting Ryan Tannehill this season.
Yeah.
Those are the stories they're talking about. So that tells me something. They don't watch this football team. All they see are the highlights that come up on Twitter, all right? And, for whatever reason, they're not as attractive as watching the Colts' completely mediocre receiving core and oozing about it. But that's what they do, all right? And so that's, if you want David Long love, you're going to have to listen to your show or another show in Nashville, because nationally it's not going to happen unless he has like 8 interceptions or 10 sacks, because they're, fumble recoveries, tackles, being around the ball. That's not going to do it. And those are all things he does.
Yeah, that reminds me. I think you tweeted this, Robbie. Someone was like, so Malik Willis after the Arizona game just said something like, the job's not done. Like he's still working it. And someone took that quote, was like, he's coming after Tannehill's job.
Florio at PFF.
Yeah.
Florio did that? Oh, God.
No, it's been all over the place, that he's coming after QB1. And you know what? One day he is. That's why they drafted him. Everybody gets drafted to be number 1 at their position. Ultimately, that's what you want him to do. But, it's just, look, the kid, he was fun to watch this preseason, and it was great to see him grow, too. And it gave me a lot of optimism for him for the future, more optimism than I had when he got here. But I also know he's got a lot to learn. But I'm excited about his capacity to learn. But, that's not even a thought for me this season.
Right. Like we're moving on to people who are actually going to play, for the most part.
Yes.
Well, speaking of that, being drafted to start and make a big deal, Traylon Burks is going to be a huge point of emphasis early on. And you look at this receiving core, Corey. Look, I was of the mind that Racey McMath was going to have some kind of role. Some people don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's a significant loss to not have him there. I don't know if it affects Traylon Burks' situation, but what do you think we're going to see just on Sunday in terms of Traylon Burks, how often he's out there and what kind of situations he's in?
It's something that it's hard to say because we didn't see that much of him in the preseason. But I think when you read into certain things, okay, when you look at him, putting him back, to return punts in practice, what does that tell you? It tells you they want to find ways to get the ball in his hands, even if it's going back there on special teams. Go to his time at Arkansas, where they lined him up at every spot in the formation, including in the backfield, okay, to get the football in his hands. And so I think we're going to be surprised at the frequency at which they try to get the football in his hands, because we haven't seen it to this point. But I think getting the football in his hands, in space in particular, is something that they are going to emphasize. And so that's going to be interesting to see just how much that is, how, I guess, forced, if that's what we want to call it, is. But I think that that's going to be a definite emphasis on their attack. And I think for people expecting him to, catch 2.5 passes a game this season, I just think that there's going to be way more touches than that for him.
All right, Corey, last thing for you here. The Chicago Bears, 6-11 last year. FanDuel has their over-under win total at 5.5. You going over? You going under for the Bears?
I'm going to tell you, I haven't looked at their schedule because I don't need to know that they're going to be bad. They have 6 undrafted free agents on the roster. They have a starting right guard who they could not trade at the deadline. I mean, they have Tajay Sharp on the receiving corps, and they're excited about him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not good, guys, and it's not supposed to be good. So, you know what? I'm excited to watch Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney this year. They're both Darnell Mooney and David Montgomery are both on my fantasy team.
There we go.
Oh, boy.
Because I think the Bears are going to stink, but I think both those guys are going to have good years.
I mean, Mooney had like 84 catches last year or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and Fields is only going to be better. So I think Mooney could have a really big year. That 5 or 6 seems right. I don't think I could make a bet on that. But yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say like 5 and 12.
Corey Curtis, our guest here on Robbie and Rexroad, joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Corey, great stuff, man. We've made it to the regular season. We'll talk to you next week.
We did. And, hey, congratulations, Robbie. I hear you're starting in the slot for the Packers.
Yep, I'm in shape now. I'm ready to go. Yep. Minnesota better watch out on Sunday. That's all I'm telling you.
There's a lot of people who like Minnesota a lot this year.
I know.
So it'll be interesting. I think the NFC is a total grab bag.
I agree.
The Brady thing is, I think it's interesting because I think it's a problem, and I think the Packers receiving corps is a problem. So I think the NFC rep is going to be a surprise.
I think it's good. Very well could be a surprise. Corey, great stuff, man. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, enjoy the season, guys.
Absolutely. Corey Curtis from News 2, our guest here on Robbie and Rexroad. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More of the Titans taking on the Giants this week coming up next. Robbie and Rexroad, 1025, 1063, The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Jewelry business, it's in my blood. I've been doing it all my life, and it's my passion.
Meet Daniel Sabalas, a third-generation jeweler at Genesis Diamonds.
This line of work, it's all about honesty and trust. It's about building relationships.
And that's what drew Daniel to Genesis, where it's all about education, transparency, and respect for each customer.
It's based on a family business mentality, and that's how we are. We're here to educate, to guide you, and we make it very easy. So we really go out of our way to educate customers in the right way. There's no stress level, there's no tension. The customer can feel that.
All this while providing the guaranteed best value price.
I've never seen a company that has the best price like this that I've seen anywhere. We are a powerhouse of diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds. No commission salespeople, no pricing games, no risk, no pressure, no cutting corners.
Genesis Diamonds is going to give you the best price, best quality, guaranteed, no matter what.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
Start of the NFL season is finally here, folks. The best place to practice your touchdown dance is on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Joe Rexroad here to let you know that FanDuel's kicking off week 1 with a no-sweat bet for everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a new customer or if you already have an account. You're going to get free bets back if you don't win. Just log in and see for yourself. Real quick one locally here. If that Titans line against the Giants stays under a touchdown, I think that's an easy one. You can, of course, do that with any game. You can go well beyond that with player and game props, and you can bunch up some bets for the same game parlay. Bigger payouts, small bet. If you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up with promo code Joe102 to get started. Again, promo code Joe 102. Either way, celebrate the return of football season with a no-sweat bet during Week 1. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued is not available for free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbet.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
It's time for another Kubota Field event hosted by Coleman Tractor of Nashville. Our biggest sales event of the year takes place on Thursday, September 15th at the Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Fun Shoot. Don't miss this perfect opportunity to demo tractors, zero-turn mowers, utility vehicles, and more. Take advantage of Kubota's competitive financing offers. Receive a coupon for up to $250. Plus, enter to win an Orca cooler. Try it and buy it at Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Fun Shoot for Coleman Tractor of Nashville's Kubota Field event, Thursday, September 15th. The event kicks off at 7:30 a.m.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say? Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robbie and Rex Road podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks to Corey Curtis for joining us in the last segment. Joe, what did you make of Corey's thoughts on Traylon Burks there? And maybe the usage maybe being a little higher than we thought it could be heading into this first game. Corey seems to think that maybe we'll be surprised by just how much he touches the ball coming up on Sunday against the Giants. What do you anticipate the role being for Traylon Burks?
Well, that'd be a good thing for the Titans if it's immediately they're able to get him involved. I mean, he's going to be involved. He's going to be on the field. I'm going to stick with the sort of prediction of Traylon Burks less than 50% snaps, which is, again, A.J. Brown. First month of his rookie year, that's where he was. And it's not like he was joining a loaded receiving core. It was A.J. Brown joining Corey Davis and some other guys.
Tajay Sharp.
There was some Tajay. Yeah.
Bears
future star, Tajay Sharp. Yeah. So and still, even in that, he made a huge impact. He took that little pass from Mariota and burned up the field. And that's, to me, still with Burks, what you're hoping is you can find some big plays from him. But I'll be very interested. I mean, his snap count is a high interest stat on Sunday. I still think Woods and NWI get a lot more snaps than he does, and it'll be interesting to see how he compares to Kyle Phillips on that front. But the more he's out there, the more he gets involved, the better that is for this team moving forward. If they can get that going, get that confidence to start building right from week one. I think that would be a big deal.
I'm also interested to see whether or not Josh Gordon is a part of the active roster this week. Do you roll with Cody Hollister as your fifth receiver? Is Josh Gordon going to be elevated from the practice squad? Even if he is, I don't have high expectations for Josh Gordon coming into the game, but I am interested to see if he's actually going to be a part of the active roster coming up on Sunday against the Giants.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would be guessing no. I'm going to guess no on that. But obviously, if he is, then that means that he showed something. And if he is, I still think it's quite a stretch right now to think Josh Gordon is going to be out there making plays for them.
But I think it's a big stretch.
But hey, you never know. I just think it's just those four guys. Those four guys are going to get just about all the work. The plan is, I think, as long as nobody gets banged up, those four guys are going to get the snaps.
Really interested also to see, Joe, what the game plan looks like from Todd Downing and Tim Kelly and company. We know, look, I don't know how well equipped the Giants defense is to handle it, but we know what their primary focus is going to be. It's going to be to try to slow down Derrick Henry as much as they can. Now, some teams can do it. Some teams have not been able to do it. But in the passing game, how do you take advantage of that if you're Todd Downing and this offense? Are there, certain concepts that you like, or how much of a factor can play action be? And at wide receiver, whether that be Robert Woods or Nick Westbrook-Akina or Traylon Burks, or even at the tight end position with Austin Hooper or Chig Okonkwo, like are there guys that throughout the game that can make some splash plays down the field? Really, really fascinating part of that this week, because that's going to be something that we wonder about all year. But in this game against the Giants, with the receiving core right now for the Titans being a little bit of an unknown, how do they plan that? How do they kind of map out what their passing game looks like? I'm interested to see that on Sunday.
Yeah, me too. It's just the stressing of the deep ball in camp was undeniable. I mean, I think that was clear. You know, look, in some cases, like Tannehill doesn't have to go deep on some of these plays. You know, some of them were 7-on-7, some of them were team, but it just felt like there was an emphasis based on what we saw, and I'm a big fan of making the other team's safeties think about things, especially when you have a guy like Derrick Henry. So I think, you know, a vertical passing game with what the Titans do, I think is a great compliment, and they just haven't had much of it. And I think Racing McMath was going to be / maybe still will be a guy who gets some shots his way and probably makes a few of those plays.
Well, how big of a difference is the tight end position immediately for this team? I mean, it was a non-factor for the most part last year offensively. You know, there were some, you know, Ferkser caught a few big balls at the end of the year. Michael Pruitt had a few touchdowns, but it was really sparse, the production they got out of the tight end last year. How much different does it look from the jump this year? How big of a role will Austin Hooper play? Can you get anything from Chig Okonkwo in the receiving game to start things off? Like, that to me is among the most fascinating things, because I think that part of the offense is going to be necessary if the Titans are going to move the ball with any sort of regularity.
I agree. And Ryan Tannehill, look, the protection falling apart last year was, I still think, the biggest external factor in his play. But he's also been really good with the Titans with at least one tight end that he really likes throwing to, and then there was last year. So I think you're going to see instantly Austin Hooper. I mean, he may get 3 catches for 21 yards Sunday, but I bet you even if that's the case, a couple of them are first downs. You know, I think Austin Hooper is going to be a safety valve for him this year.
Red zone.
And a red zone guy for him this year. And you're going to see Hooper, Swaim, 2 tight end sets as a steady diet. And then Chig is really interesting because he's a guy who you can scheme something up and get him going vertical if you get the right look and the right matchup. I think he's going to make some plays this year. I think patience is a good idea there, and remembering how long it took Jonnu Smith, who some people thought sucked for a while early in his Titans career. I forget who that was, but get a little bit of patience. Tight end and Chig is a guy who needs probably some more weight put on as his career progresses. But I think they are going to find some things for him.
I've got an early over-under for you this week that I'm setting right now here on the fly.
Okay.
Over-under 23.5 carries for Derrick Henry on Sunday.
That's a good number. I'm going to go under. And the reason I'm going to go under is that I actually think the Titans are going to handle this game, and I think that they're going to be – see, the problem in the NFL is even if you're up 10 or 13 or something in the fourth quarter, you're still giving him the ball, right? It's not like you're – but I'll go under. I think they'll make a few big plays, and I think there is going to be a little bit of conscious attempting, especially in non-huge games against teams they should beat, to not just batter him.
I'll go over. He ends up at 24.
Okay.
Barely over.
It's a good number. That's a good over-under number.
615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll get into a wild week 1 of college football, including some very interesting results for the Pac-12 as well. That's up next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Bob's Steak and Chop House is a renowned award-winning steakhouse in major cities across the U.S. Nashville is lucky to have a location here in downtown at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Fine dining is brought to a new level at Bob's with awards like the Wine Spectator Award 4 years in a row, TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence 5 years in a row, and Open Tables Diner's Choice Award 6 years in a row. Fine dining at its best. Bob's Steak and Chop House, open Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m. in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Complimentary valet parking is always available.
Life stresses can take a toll on your mind, body, and spirit, but there are simple, enjoyable remedies that may help aid these, and they can be delivered right to your doorstep. Hey, folks, Joe Rexrode here. So excited to be talking to you about the nation's #1 online shop for all things cannabis, OrderGreen.com. Their wide selection of THC and CBD products will ensure you find a fit for your needs with discreet, same-day shipping nationwide. For me, for inflammation, for stress relief, it's a tremendous product. That's right, THC, CBD, right to your doorstep. Use promo code JOE20 for 20% off your first purchase at OrderGreen.com.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willy Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage. Whether you are buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Who do you call when you need a new floor? R&S Wood Flooring, or refinish the old one that you've got. R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring. Bring beauty to every room in your home. R&S Wood Flooring.
R&S Flooring is Nashville's leading flooring company for over 30 years. Say no to inflation and save big this summer at R&S Flooring. Save on all hardwoods, tile, carpet, and LVT flooring. Take advantage of our 12 months same as cash financing and don't make a payment until 2023. Simply go online at rnsflooring.com and schedule your free estimate today. No waiting, no hassles. It's that easy. Call 615-771-0084 today and schedule your free in-home estimate, or visit us online at rnsflooring.com and start visualizing your new floors today.
R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring. R&S Wood Flooring.
Robbie and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willy, and D-Mace.
Somebody company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Don't miss the Eddie George Show featuring Jonathan Hutton on 102.5, 106.3 The Game every Monday night at 6 o'clock, live from 6th and Peabody. The Eddie George Show is brought to you by Low T Centers. Welcome back in, Robbie and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Well, wild week one of college football, Joe Rexrode. Not a great one for the Pac-12. Georgia absolutely destroys Oregon on Saturday afternoon. They win 49-3. Stetson Bennett, 25 of 31 in that game for 368 yards, 2 touchdowns. Was not a great game for Bo Nix, who is now the quarterback at Oregon. And I know Georgia obviously has lost a ton off that defense from last year, but they look pretty darn good on Saturday against Oregon. And I said this earlier, and I hope people are starting to come around on this, but like at some point, do you have to look at Stetson Bennett and be like, yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, he just won a national title. He was awesome on Saturday, and everybody keeps talking about, when he's going to be gone and who's going to replace him at quarterback, but Stetson Bennett's pretty darn good out there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's time to Just go ahead and forget about like his backstory or what 5-star may be next, and enjoy him, Georgia fans. I think he's got to be a Heisman candidate this year. Just based on how he played in that game, he just looks to me like he's even better, and he was really good last year. So they look pretty good.
They did.
Between that and this defense. I mean, they've sent so many guys in the NFL from that defense last year, but in the last couple of years, and they're just reloading. I mean, they are an Alabama-level program right now of not just being able to finish the deal, but now just reloading when you lose all these guys in the NFL and being just really well coached and really good.
And Oregon looked disjointed for the most part in that game. I mean, Bo Nix, the second pick that he threw in that game, was just terrible. I mean, it was zone defense. He didn't even look at where he was throwing the ball, and Georgia was just sitting there in the zone. They picked it off. Not a great game from Bo Nix in that game. And then on the other side of things in the Pac-12, Utah going on the road to the Swamp and losing at Florida, 29-26 the final score. They have the 2-minute drive. They're driving down the field. They're moving the ball well. They got a chance to score a touchdown and win the game, or maybe at the very worst, kick a field goal to tie it and go to overtime. And then Rising, their quarterback, just throws a brutal interception in the end zone, and they lose on the road. Big win for Florida. Not a great weekend for the Pac-12. I mean, those are your top two programs in the Pac-12, and one loses to Georgia, which you understand, also, although it was a 46-point margin of victory. And the other one loses to an unranked Florida team who, by the way, looked pretty good on Saturday night.
Yeah. Billy Napier, lot of Florida fans. Message board genius. Great follow.
Oh, yeah.
Can we fire Billy Napier? Can we fire him? We missed out on like our third straight recruit. We got to fire him. Just fire him.
Let's go ahead and move on.
He's a guy who I think a lot of people in the game really respect him. And although I still believe that Dan Mullen got a bit of a raw deal, although I don't think he handled it well. Like, I think Dan Mullen has demonstrated that he's a good football coach. I think he would have been a good hire for Tennessee during that cycle too. I don't like him on TV, so I'd rather him be a coach.
He's not good on TV.
But regardless, he got bounced, and some people really don't like him. I feel like Billy Napier is very respected in the game, and I think you kind of saw, if you watch that game Saturday, he just looks like a good coach. I know that's weird to say, but like just even him on the sideline and them and their performance, that was a well-coached team with a guy who I think has a real chance here to be in the first round of the draft in Anthony Richardson. He is the 2-point play he made was ridiculous.
Yep.
He's 17 for 24, 168. Then he rushes 11 for 106, 3 touchdowns, including the 45-yarder where it's just like, I mean, you know, I'll go to David Ubben, who threw out Vince Young in his SEC recap. I mean, that's a little heady.
A little strong.
It's a little strong, and he said that. But, you know, it's just he glides when he runs. And just big, strong. He was so good. But Cameron Rising was so good, too. 7 for 91 on the ground, 22 for 32, 216. And then that pick is just
brutal.
Said this earlier on the show. I'll say it again for all of you Browns fans out there. If you watch that, then it's a different kind of play, but it's the same idea. It's Brian Sipe against the Raiders in the playoffs. Like, we know we have a field goal. So the only thing we can't do is turn it over here. Like, you can't come close. You throw into someone who
throw it into the 7th row.
You are throwing to someone you know is wide open. He threw to someone who had 2 defenders between him and his receiver. Like, I don't understand how that play happens.
It's a brutal decision. And, like, I will say, I was watching that game, and I know, you know, Tennessee's got a huge game against Pittsburgh this week. By the way, we'll have Pat Narduzzi on later this week, head coach of Pittsburgh, so looking forward to that. And Kentucky plays Florida. So there are big games for both programs before they get there. So I recognize that. But I did watch that game on Saturday and think to myself, man, this Tennessee-Florida game could be pretty interesting.
Bring them on.
Yeah. Well, and Tennessee gets a great look at 2 huge games coming up.
Yeah, they do.
Although they'll be busy with Pittsburgh. But, Florida, Kentucky. That's one of the top games of college football this week.
Bring them on. Bring them on.
Is it down in the Swamp?
I believe it is.
I think it is, yeah.
Oh, boy. Levis better get that mayo in his coffee early.
Listen,
they better
Levis
wake
looked
up quicker
good.
than they did last week.
Levis looked good.
Well, what was going on with a tie at Miami of Ohio at the half?
I just focus on the final score, Joe. 37-13.
Okay.
That's all I care about.
Okay.
They didn't look great. I watched some of that game. Kentucky did not look very good.
Yeah.
It's first game of the season.
A couple of their starters are out. Okay, so
It's first game of the season, but they did not look very good.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean,
maybe John Calipari was in the crowd, like holding up some fat head of, I don't know, some practice facility outline drawing he's got, just showing it at Mark Stoops. Look at this! You see this drawing?
God,
it's my practice facility.
Like, there's got to be some public appearance they have to do together at some
I
point,
hope
right?
so.
Like at some point.
Game of the weekend, by the way. North Carolina, App State. North Carolina wins 63-61. It's awesome. There's not a defense to be found in that game, although big defensive play at the end. App State scores the touchdown in less than like 30 seconds. They had to drive 60 yards, and they did. They scored a touchdown, and then the 2-point conversion, big stop by North Carolina. So a game that featured no defense ends on a good defensive play by the Tar Heels.
Yeah, that one's nutty, and it's an example of do not schedule App State. Don't give them like a 3-for-1 or home, whatever that. Like, don't go play at their place.
Yeah.
And then NC State should have lost at East Carolina. Both of the ACC schools survived from that state, but man, Dave Doran calling the timeout, and I was like, this is 100% blown up in his face. But yeah. I guess maybe that was a case of a kicker being actually iced.
The biggest game of the day in terms of hype, Ohio State and Notre Dame. Ohio State wins 21-10 in that game. So a game where, hope you took the under. C.J. Stroud and company, they win. They pull it off at home 21-10. I thought that was a good game. Thought Notre Dame played really well defensively, and held what I think is going to be at some point a high-powered Ohio State offense just to 21 points, but the Ohio State defense looked pretty good as well. So a pretty good season opening game there, but Ohio State too much for Notre Dame in the end.
Yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigbuzz gets hurt, and you can make a bunch of excuses if you want. It's funny because C.J. Stroud's still 24-34, 223, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's going to be one of his worst games of the year. Travion Henderson. They're going to be fine. Their defense looks like it may be fixed, although I think Notre Dame is a better defensive team than an offensive team. But I was actually pretty impressed with Marcus Freeman in that effort. I guess it does turn out, though, that both LSU and Notre Dame have sad opening weekends with their new coaches. And my gosh, what a sad way for LSU to lose last night.
Look, the SEC went 13-1 this week, and LSU, the lone loss last night. They were pretty much dog water offensively for most of that game, and they got it figured out toward the end. You score what you think is going to be the game-tying touchdown as time expires late in the game, and you line up to kick an extra point, and it gets blocked. Special teams, a pretty big disaster for LSU yesterday.
See, Brian Kelly did a thing. It's a really crafty, just like a lot of things he's done since he's taken that job.
Mm-hmm.
He in his post game he ripped the coaching, but really he's ripping the players. Like ripped the coaching for who we picked as punt returner and who we picked on our field goal team, and so essentially like trying to put on the coaches kind of, but also really just saying the players screwed this game up. I mean, that's a shout out to Caroline Fenton today.
It's a tough one.
There will be better days ahead, I'm sure. But right now, people are having a lot of fun. I mean, I saw this morning when I woke up, like just glancing at Twitter, like a good dozen, 12 to 15, like family tweets. I mean, it's just
there's a lot of that.
Gonna end.
Well, there's the meltdown of LSU Twitter that's taking place right now. There's also what continues to be a very underrated Twitter group, which is FSU Twitter, who now thinks that they're back and they're going to compete for the national title this year as well. So Mike Norvell's got things figured out down there, apparently.
I will tell you, I have no doubt. I will tell you, that's a big result for him.
Oh, yeah.
This is a big year. That's a big result. And they were better. They were the better team. I mean, incredible Jaden Daniels drive at the end, and he finally kind of put it all together. But that's a good one. Yeah, pump the brakes, but that's a big deal for him. By the way, Kayshon Boutte apparently has deleted all of his LSU stuff. Has unfollowed them. There's no LSU stuff on his page now. What does that mean? They're talking about a meltdown today on this fine labor.
Well, he ran a nice route last night. They were down. I think it was in the second quarter, and they were down by the end zone. And he's just casually running. He cut inside for the slant. The ball hit him in the back of the head. He never turned around and looked for it. And they on the broadcast, I think it was McElroy on the broadcast. Was like, "What was that? What kind of a route was that?" It's just something's going on there.
I mean, Daniels and he were on the sideline talking a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to get on the same page. But, boy, you don't want that to mean anything other than a guy's really mad. Is he going to hit the portal today?
I don't know. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the discussion on college football. A wild week one. We'll also give our first look at Tennessee and Pittsburgh coming up this Saturday as well. All that ahead. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown.
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's grilling and chilling season, and Hiller is celebrating all month with special deals for customers, like a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a new tankless water heater, a free Traegerwood Bella Grill with the purchase of a new whole home generator, and a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a full home septic system. Also, for your HVAC system, get 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on select new HVAC systems. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy OB or services-free guarantee. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Golfers, tee it up this fall at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for big savings. Save up to $150 off on Ping G425 woods. Upgrade your gear with discounted Wilson stand and cart golf bags. And stock up on TaylorMade Distance Plus golf balls, now 2 dozen for $35. Don't miss these items and more happening now at Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get a free custom fitting today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, or shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Injuries on the job can be devastating to both employees and employers. Your employees are in pain, may lose wages, and want to get back to work. Your business has lost a worker and may not meet goals and profits. Houston Clinic Orthopedics offers an extensive workers' compensation program to your business and your employees. They will work with you from start to finish, managing everything from appointment scheduling through reimbursement. For more details, call Houston Clinic Orthopedics at 1-800-323-8858.
Hi, this is Trisha Yearwood. The Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum is committed to preserving our musical history and sharing its cultural significance. We invite you to join us in honoring thy music and supporting our mission by becoming a museum member. Membership is your key to accessing a world-class nonprofit arts organization here, locally, minutes from your home. Become a member today by visiting countrymusichallofame.org/membership.
Long weekends are all about getting a little you time. And at the Home Depot, you time means you building, you drilling, you doing, you recharging, you saving, and you going back for more. Do Labor Day your way and get a free 18-volt battery with select Milwaukee Power Toolkit purchases at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rex Road, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Labor Day morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Talking college football. Welcoming your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe Rex Road, you were at Vanderbilt for their game on Saturday. They went 42-31 against Elon. So Vandy moves to 2-0 on the season. It was not perfect in that game, especially as the game went on. Some struggles on the defensive side of the ball. Overall, your takeaway from Vanderbilt, not only their win against Elon, but their start as a whole now at 2-0. Undefeated.
Hey, you take 2-0. You're Vanderbilt, you're 2-0, you take 2-0. And you got a big game coming up, a ranked opponent who I don't know if their starting quarterback, Sam Hartman, will be available. He's out indefinitely, but their backup quarterback looks pretty good too. Their offense is explosive. It's going to be tough, but you know what? It's Vanderbilt's offense, I think, is going to have a lot of successful Saturdays. Unless they're playing, the top teams on their schedule, I think you're going to see Vanderbilt move the ball. I really like a lot of what I see. Starting with Mike Wright, 6 touchdowns, Vanderbilt record 6 total touchdowns. 2 rushing, 4 passing. Has another long touchdown run. He's fun to watch, and it's going like you would hope. If you're a Vanderbilt fan wondering, can Mike Wright do it? What's the offense going to look like? Is it going to make sense? I think it's built around him. I think he's a fun player to watch. He leads the team. He makes big plays. There are still going to be some moments where, you got to just drop back on 3rd and long and quickly make an accurate throw. That those moments are going to be really key, probably really key Saturday, but that's very encouraging. Defensively, I would not call it encouraging at all based on what happened Saturday. And look, Elon's quarterback got hot. Elon's receivers made some great catches, but there was also some busts, some just bad coverage sights downfield. And I think the most concerning for me in that game is the way Elon moved the Commodores up front in that second half. It gets to 35-10, and then they move the ball both ways. The overall rushing numbers aren't great, but they got too much push up front when you consider who's coming on the schedule. So they are a little banged up there, but that's they gotta figure something out. And that said, Nate Clifton and some of the guys up front had huge stops later, else that game gets really interesting.
Yep, and the offense, I am prepared to say, and look, I knew we'd find out a little bit more about Hawaii this week. They are terrible, and it is very clear. They are absolutely terrible. They got destroyed by Vanderbilt, and they just got destroyed by Western Kentucky over the weekend as well. And what'd you say the line was against Michigan, 50.5?
Right now, last I saw, 50.5 on the Hawaii at Michigan primetime Big Ten Network extravaganza Saturday night.
So they are terrible.
What fun that should be.
There's no question about it. So you factor in Vanderbilt played them, they played Elon, and I know the quality of competition is about to jump up pretty dramatically for them. I will say, even knowing that, I feel pretty good about this offense being significantly better this year than it was a year ago. I don't know what that means in terms of their bottom line. Are they going to have a top 5 offense in the SEC? Probably not. But the offense, to me, is significantly better this year than it was last year. Mike Wright obviously has a big part to do with that. I think he's gotten better. His running game is very important. Jaden McGowan, 4 catches, 118 yards on Saturday, including a 75-yard bomb on that play. And I feel like Will Shepard, even though he's had 4 touchdowns so far, he really hasn't been overly dynamic yet, but we know he's a pretty darn good football player, and I think that's going to come as the season goes on. So I feel pretty good about Vanderbilt's offense thus far based on what I've seen.
Yeah, and Ray Davis makes a huge difference, and he's the guy. But they had Chase Gillespie, freshman, behind him, and he barely got any work Saturday. So I think there's a good chance to get Rocco Griffin back for this game against Wake Forest, which would be good to have another back in there. And if they get Quincy Skinner back at receiver, now they have a more complete situation. I like their offense. Top 5 in the SEC. Look, when they play Bama and Georgia,
it's going to be tough to move ball.
It may not look great. But I think most of the other teams on their schedule, they got a chance to at least be competitive on that side of the ball. much less optimistic on the other side of the ball.
So Vanderbilt will take on Wake Forest coming up this weekend. And interested to see what happens at quarterback there. Is Sam Hartman going to play? Is it going to be Mitch Griffiths? By the way, Mitch Griffiths looked pretty good in game 1 for Wake Forest, so we'll see what happens on that front. Right now, Wake Forest a 7.5-point favorite on the FanDuel Sportsbook against Vanderbilt. Also a big game coming up for the Vols on Saturday. They'll take on Pittsburgh. We'll have a lot to get to on that game later this week. Pat Narduzzi will be joining the show, head coach of Pittsburgh as well, so looking forward to that. But, Joe, your initial thoughts on this matchup? I looked at FanDuel last break. Tennessee's a 6.5-point favorite on the road, taking on Pittsburgh. I'm a little surprised by that, based on Pittsburgh being a top 20 team and the game's at Pittsburgh. It's interesting to me.
And so it opened at 4.5?
Yeah.
It's moved 2 points
moved
already?
2 points.
Oh, easy Vols fans.
Oh, boy.
Easy Vols fans. All the money's going on Tennessee. Look, I know some people who cover college football who think Tennessee is going to go put a thumping on that Pittsburgh team.
They might.
I mean, their offense.
I'd be surprised.
I think their offense is going to have a good day Saturday. Is their defense going to have a good day? I don't know about that. Keaton Slovis, good receivers, good backs. I think we're looking at another wild game, probably like last year's. So, I have thought Tennessee was going to go win this game. I still do. But easy.
You taking -6.5?
Easy now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Keep it going.
Yes, but I also I feel like I see 38-34 in my mind.
Yeah.
It's tough. I don't think this is some waxing that some people think it's going to be. If it is, it bodes very well for Tennessee moving forward.
Look, it's hard not to feel good about the offense right now. Dating back to last year, they've scored 45 or more in 4 consecutive games. So, I mean, the offense you feel good about. Honestly, the one thing that I still wonder about with the offense that I don't know how good of a look we got at it on Saturday or on Thursday against Ball State was the offensive line looked great, but it was Ball State. How's the offensive line going to hold up against Pittsburgh? That to me is still an interesting question heading into this game.
Yeah, right. They are. That's the one thing on the offense that you're still like, okay, here's a prove it Saturday. Mincy's looks pretty clearly the left tackle. They let Crawford, play some, but interior, the interior of that line, Kalijah Cansey is a great player for Pittsburgh in the interior. They always, Narduzzi is they're going to be aggressive. I just don't see them changing from what they are. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to try to hit Hendon Hooker as many times as they can hit him. And he's going to have opportunities they are going to be in that quarters defense they play, which is a lot like just playing a lot of man. And there are going to be some deep shots taken. And we know that last year, deep shots were taken and
they were
not landed, although one of them was perfectly thrown. By the way, people forget that one. But
there was a lot to choose from.
There were a lot to choose from. Hooker is going to have a chance to make big plays, but this is a game. This is a game where you also have to think long term and be like, got to protect that guy because that's what Narduzzi's defenses do. They are like, we will give up some shots to take shots at your QB.
Well, and it's the first set of a toss-up game of if Tennessee's going to have the sort of year that some think they're going to have, and that's flirting with 9-10 wins. This is a game you're going to have to win against Pittsburgh.
Got to have it.
No question about it. 615-737-1025. We'll get back into the Titans coming up next. Where should Mike Vrabel rank? How should he be viewed in the coaching pantheon around the NFL heading into this year? We'll get to that and more next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You love the game.
Predators win it in overtime. Touchdown, Tennessee.
We live the game.
My quarterback needs me to step up.
He can make a defense pay.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by UC Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
If you missed the latest from Robbie and Rex Road.
Iowa 2022 wins greater than sign. Iowa 2022 touchdowns.
Yes.
Incredible, man. The fact
7-3.
Like that's and I know that like our Matt Brown went back and it's like it hasn't happened at least since I think 1980. But like they're trying to. So at some point this week, someone may tell us that this has never happened before. I don't know. But seriously, 2 freaking safeties. And I watched a ton of that game. I was watching that game just rooting for a 5-3 final. It's so amazing. Like, Iowa football is so, like, they have a brand, and it is big. It's as Big Ten as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
But in particular, Iowa football. Like, their fans every year are just miserable about their offense. Just miserable.
Tune in Robbie and Rex with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on ESPN, 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Their service and parts team will get your work site up and running in no time. Parman Tractor and Equipment will come to you for service if needed. Visit ParmanTractor.com for more info. Your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
If you missed the latest from Robbie and Rexrode,
Iowa 2022 wins greater than sign Iowa 2022 touchdowns.
Yes.
Incredible, man. The fact
7-3.
Like that's and I know that like our Matt Brown went back and it's like it hasn't happened at least since I think 1980. But like they're trying to. So at some point this week, someone may tell us that this has never happened before. I don't know, but seriously, 2 freaking safeties. And I watched a ton of that game. I was watching that game just rooting for a 5-3 final. It's so amazing. Like, Iowa football is so, like, they have a brand, and it is big. It's as Big Ten as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
But in particular, Iowa football. Like, their fans every year are just miserable about their offense. Just miserable.
Tune in Robbie and Rex with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on ESPN, 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rexrode, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Still in company. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushes. Awesome Game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive, this is Robbie and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robbie and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic, Nick Keys are here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope everybody's doing well. We'll have Daniel Popper from The Athletic coming up at 9:30, who covers the L.A. Chargers. We'll get his thoughts on what many people consider to be maybe the most talented roster in the AFC. Coming up later this hour at 9:30.
Or at least number 2.
I think a lot of people think they're number 1.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of people think they're more talented than the Bills?
I might think they're more talented than the Bills.
Wow. I don't know, man. That's kind of
well,
like
you think the Bills are going 17-0.
Mind blown on that one. They do have a very talented roster, though.
They do.
We can all agree on that.
Looking forward to the coaching. Comes out of L.A. Chargers this year. Going to get an update on that at 9:30.
Yeah, I was looking at these Coach of the Year lists, or top coaches lists, talking about Vrabel, and Brandon Staley's not super high on those lists.
He's not on the list?
He's, yeah.
Shocked by that.
In the 20s, typically.
It's a good segue.
Yeah, it is a good
to the
segue.
Conversation with Mike Vrabel. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. He is the reigning NFL Coach of the Year. With that in mind, and based on what we've seen from Vrabel thus far, how do you think Vrabel should be viewed heading into the season in terms of where he fits in with the top coaches around the league? I mean, we don't necessarily have to come up with, well, I think Belichick's number 1 and Vrabel's at 4. But in terms of how he's viewed around the league, based on what he's done, also based on what he's not yet done so far in the postseason with no Super Bowl appearances or a Super Bowl victory to his credit now either, albeit very early in his coaching career. But those things do matter when you have these sort of discussions.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion because some would say, well, if you don't have a ring, don't even come into the discussion. But Kyle Shanahan does not have a ring, but I think that he's got to be right there. To me, it's like if you talk about the top coach in the NFL right now, I still put a high value on doing something over a period of time and demonstrating some level of consistency, and especially if you're able to win with different groups of players. Now, granted, that may be just because your GM is that good, and they've been able to bridge different eras of players. But the guys who have just been very good in this league for a long time, Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Mike Tomlin, and John Harbaugh, I think. But I put Pete Carroll there too.
Yeah.
Like those are my 5 long-term, successful. Let's see. In every case you have at least one championship, right? So that's to me, I think you start there, and then I do buy into the McVay. Come on, McVay. We know McVay is a very good coach.
Yeah.
Just won it all, and he's been a very good coach, and Kyle Shanahan is too. And so I think that's a kind of a 7, and I think it'd be hard to put too many people above Vrabel after that. That's how I look at it. But everybody has all these lists, these media lists of that. I think just about everyone I've seen has Matt LaFleur listed above Mike Vrabel, which is a flaw in thinking to me. It is, look, he inherited a really good team, the most talented QB in the league. They've played like it. He's been a good coach. He deserves credit. I absolutely would not at all put him above Mike Vrabel on a list of.
He is 39-10.
Yeah, and that's great.
I would not put him over Mike Vrabel.
13s 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the competition, what he has, and also I think you have to put a premium on playoff performance, which of course isn't great for Vrabel lately, but he does have one really impressive run.
He does. Now, that's going to when we start to get into the conversation about Vrabel moving forward, that's going to be the next thing that has to change. We talked earlier about winning games you're supposed to win, and that's what makes this Giants game pretty intriguing to me. Like, can this Titans team out of the jump, can they do that this year and handle business the way that I think they should coming up on Sunday? But number 2, like when you start to talk about Vrabel moving forward, playoffs are going to be a part of that. So as much as we talk about, Tannehill and what that means for him, and if they get back to the playoffs this year, that's when the spotlight is going to be on Tannehill. When you start talking about best coaches, like you got to have playoff success that goes along with that. And Vrabel's first crack at it in playoffs was really good. He got to the AFC title game. Nobody thought they would get there. And ever since then, you have a disappointing one and done against Baltimore at home. And we all know what happened last year against Cincinnati. So, number 1, getting back there is going to be a challenge this year. If they do get back there, I think there's going to be some pressure on not just Tannehill, but Vrabel and this whole team to, while you're still in this quote-unquote window, got to do some damage in the playoffs. And they haven't done that the last couple of years.
Yeah, and that's what was really interesting about of the 2 losses. I think it was a coaching failure too, in terms of the OC. I mean, Todd Downing has to share a decent amount of the blame. Most of it still goes to Tannehill, to me. Yeah. But mute. But it's interesting when you go back a year, because that was a hugely disappointing offensive performance. Remember, Arthur Smith was everybody's darling. Everybody wanted Arthur Smith, and it was like, man, his last game with the Titans as OC
wasn't good.
It wasn't good at all. So it's been 2 straight just offensive, brutal performances. And it's it's 5 straight halves of really bad offensive football from the Titans in the postseason. So
it's 5 straight.
That's a big deal.
It's 5 straight halves as well of teams pretty much totally shutting Derrick Henry down, which we talk about Tannehill a lot. That's when he has to come up big. If they're going to take away Henry, you got to come up big and make some throws. But there's also, like Henry in the playoffs, He was such a force in that New England game, in that Baltimore game. I mean, heck, even the Kansas City game, they won with Mariota. He was great in that game. And it's not really been the case. So if that's going to be the game plan for teams once the Titans get to the playoffs, which it will be, I don't care what kind of a year Tannehill has this year, if Henry's healthy, their game plan is going to be to try to slow him down. I mean, the door's right there for the Titans. I mean, we're already talking about playoff football here with the Titans, and the regular season starts on Sunday.
And most people don't think they're going to be in it.
I know.
Although I will point out for the national media bashers that Peter King put out his predictions, and he has the Titans going 10-7, win the division. The Colts going 9-8 and not making the playoffs. So
he is an outlier.
It's not across the board. There are some people who still believe in the Titans.
There are. By the way, Chris from Atlanta on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, well, it finally happened. Joe has turned into Buffalo Joe with his love of the Bills this year. You do love you some Buffalo Bills this year.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see your predictions later this week.
That makes me think of Buffalo Bill from Sounds of the Lambs, which is not cool, man.
That's not who you want to be.
Buffalo Joe. Hey, look, I'm bullish on the Bill. I'm billish.
Yes.
Is what I am.
Yes, you are.
I think they're good. I think that's the best roster. Up and down, and starting with who I think is going to win MVP, Josh Allen. So, I mean, it's like they're going like 15-2. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Well, that's what makes this game important. Look, I think it's fair to point out the Titans have had a pretty good amount of success against Buffalo the last couple of years. This one is different. You're going on the road to Buffalo this time against a team that I think is more talented than they've been and a quarterback that I think is continuing to get better in Josh Allen. That makes this game Sunday very important for the Titans. You need to win this game. You know, this is not a situation, and Corey Curtis brought this up earlier. You got the Bills, the Raiders, and the Colts coming up. Those are obviously huge AFC games. Each game you lose that you're supposed to win, let's say you lose this Giants game, you gotta sneak that and grab it from somewhere else. It would be nice to see the Titans this week come out and handle business the way that I think they should in this game. I think the Titans are clearly better than the Giants, and I know it's a new season and all that cliche stuff you can throw out there, but the Titans should win this game, and I think they should win it pretty easily.
They should.
If they don't, be an interesting show on Monday.
Well, look, if they win 27-24, okay, you're 1-0 in the NFL. Yeah, you're 1-0 in the NFL. Got stuff to work on. You always coaches love the stuff to work on in the wake of a win. You know, like Clark Lee, it's like, hey, work on some stuff.
Yeah.
But you're looking at the film of a win. So yes, I agree that they should win this game I think they should win this game by a touchdown or more. And you'd like to see them just come out and just lay the wood. But
I just want to see them execute well. Like that's the thing. Like you need to be able to be ready to go from the jump. Obviously, they weren't last year, and I don't expect anything like that. But if you come out and you're just stumbling all over yourself offensively, it's going to be a concern moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you hope that there's execution in the run game. Derrick Henry has a good day. You hope that at least with Woods and NWI and Hooper, that those three guys and Tannehill have exactly what we've seen all camp. This is where camp should translate to regular season. Getting good work in with people, and it just seems like those three receivers and Tannehill have a good thing. Well, it seems the same way with Kyle Phillips, frankly.
Yeah.
I think he's going to come out and make some catches on Sunday. Traylon Burks is the big question mark, interesting point of this game. I think he's definitely going to play a fair amount, and I think they're going to try to get him going. I think it'd be a big deal for him and them if they can find some chunk plays with him.
We'll take your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025 on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do you make of their Week 1 matchup against the Giants? We've made it to the regular season. It is almost here. We'll continue that discussion coming up next. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 MAC-level quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Regal Realty Group on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville Nashville app.
Maine Kenny here. Kenny Maine here. All right, that one was on me. And hey, for new Caesars Sportsbook app users, your first bet's on Caesars. So if you don't win, you get it wrong, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
It's Family Leisure's 30th annual Labor Day sale.
End of summer clearance items like pools and rafts and pool toys to our new indoor products like massage chairs and theater seating.
Save up to 40% off on all new patio furniture. Save up to 70% on display model and discontinued items.
Family Leisure has truckloads of spas arriving daily. There are even some scratch and dent spas on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Home theater seating, 3-piece sets start at only $9.99. That's Family Leisure's Labor Day sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
I bought jewelry in New York, I bought jewelry in LA, I bought jewelry in South Beach, I bought jewelry internationally.
Business owner Adam Rothberg knows jewelry. And of all the stores he shopped over the years, his number one place to go, it's right here, Genesis Diamonds.
There's not a real big reason to go visit a lot of other jewelry stores. Everything that you hope to find everywhere else, you may get bits and pieces of it from others, but you come here and it's a one-stop shop. It's everything that you need to have.
From the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds to the top designer brands in the world to a stunning selection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
You really don't need to go anywhere else. Quality of the pieces, obviously a large selection, a selection that fits into a lot of people's budget, and then obviously good counsel and good advocacy for the people that work here that actually know the pieces and know the jewelry business.
And who aren't paid on commission.
They're not pushy. No hard sell.
All this plus the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry, plus nationwide price protection and free service for life on any purchase.
Service you get from Genesis is second to none.
Come discover the store that's got it all. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Jared Stillman.
Football season, and then football season becomes hockey season, and then it becomes draft season, and then it becomes hockey playoff season.
And company.
Maybe this is something to just get people a little bit interested.
It's a matter of not having too many chefs in the kitchen.
Catch Stillman and Company on your drive home. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
And I can spot it from a mile away.
Watch live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope.
It's on. It's happening.
Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robbie and Rex Road on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Looking ahead to Week 1 for the Tennessee Titans, coming up against the New York Giants. Right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook, Titans a 5.5-point favorite against the Giants coming up on Sunday. So I'm interested to see if that line moves throughout the week. 5.5 is interesting. If I'm a Titans fan, I would take it right now, but that's just me. We'll see what happens on that front.
Yeah, I suppose I'd probably stay around the same. I'm on a different front. Looking at that Vols line, is that going to be like 17 by the end of the entire Vols fandom?
It's gone from 4.5 to 6.5.
Putting mortgages on it.
Yeah. Time kickoff comes around, they'll be 25-point favorites on the road.
Yeah. Ease up, folks. Ease up. But, the Titans, I guess that's about right.
Well, the question I have is, what sort of a threat is the Giants' offense going to pose to this defense? Like, I've still, even with Harold Landry out, in this matchup, I feel pretty good about the Titans' defense. Now, Saquon Barkley's back, and we know that he's got a lot of talent, and he's a dual threat. He can run the ball well. He's also a big part of their receiving game when he's in there. But, Daniel Jones just doesn't really scare me a whole lot if I'm a Titans fan out there. So I'm interested to see. Now, it is Brian Daboll. He's coming in. We know what system he runs. Obviously, he did a really good job in Buffalo. What sort of a threat can this Giants offense pose against a Titans defense that I still think in this matchup, even without Harold Landry, is pretty good. And I think they got a lot of playmakers out there.
I mean, this is a huge season for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I don't think it's going to end up working out for them with the pick. But with Barkley and, Galladay, Tony, if he plays, I love the Wan'Dale Robinson pick. They do have some interesting guys. Now, the offensive line's been a huge concern for them, and I think the Titans advantage Titans, and then of course their pass rushers, they've been trying to build that, and you got question marks there with their health. On paper, Titans are clearly a better team than the Giants, but in terms of that particular matchup, offense, Giants offense, Titans defense, look, if Daniel Jones has a good game, he comes out firing and he's accurate and sharp and focused, he does have guys who can make plays against this Titans secondary.
Offensively for the Titans, I'm interested early on to see how much they use the tight ends with Hooper and Chig Okonkwo. I guess Jeff Swaim to a certain extent, but in the passing game, Okonkwo and Hooper, how much of a difference do they make immediately? We know this. The tight ends for the Titans last year were really not factors for the most part throughout the course of the season. Pruitt had some big catches in the end zone. I thought Ferkser came on a little bit later in the year and was a little bit better, but not much from the tight end group last year. How big of a difference do they make immediately? And if they can make a difference immediately, how much does that change the way this offense looks in terms of Ryan Tannehill and his comfort level early on? Because I think right now with the receiving core in the shape it's in, we'll see if Burks is a factor. We'll see, how good Robert Woods is early on at creating separation. Like, he needs the tight ends to be a weapon for him early on, and I think there's a chance they will be in this game, and that's probably offensively to me, other than the obvious of how's Derrick Henry going to look and how's Traylon Burks going to look. The tight ends to me are right there among the top storylines heading into this game.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if they're not utilizing even Swaim in the passing game a little bit. I think Swaim and Hooper will be on the field quite a bit together. I think the Titans, they just look like they're probably going to go back to being more of a two tight end offense this year. I think that certainly makes sense from a personnel standpoint. They've strengthened at tight end. They've weakened at wide receiver. Last year it was like so many receivers. You're just going to be an 11 all the time, and they were more. And look, their best offense in this offensive scheme, the best offense they've had has been with a two tight end look with Tannehill throwing to the tight ends. And I just think Hooper is going to be – I'm going to say this, and he's going to have a catch for 7 yards, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Hooper is going to be targeted by Tannehill a lot early and often. I think it's going to happen throughout the season. I think he's actually not a bad late-round pick if you're fantasy drafting this week, by the way, not to give any secrets away for the Robbie and Rexroad fantasy draft.
We've got some thoughts on Dontrell Hilliard to get to. Jonathan on YouTube says – don't forget Dontrell Hilliard on third downs. TD says he runs routes like a wide receiver. Dennis on the text line throwing out the question, who gets more carries in the game coming up on Sunday, Hilliard or Haskins? That's an interesting one. I would guess Hilliard.
This is a really interesting one, and in fact, we had like a fantasy question at the Athletic, and I said for my development that if I was handcuffing, for anybody out there who does fantasy drafting, if you draft a running back really high, it's a good idea to handcuff with drafting their backup late. I think Hilliard's the guy. Now, when he's in the third down role, if they give somebody else a series, does that mean they give it to Haskins? I don't know. If Derrick Henry went down, I think Dontrell Hilliard would be their running back. That's what I believe right now. And it doesn't mean that Haskins couldn't be that at some point, but I think right at this moment that it would be Dontrell Hilliard. And absolutely great point on him on third down. I think you're going to see him be a really nice addition to the offense.
They have Julius Chestnut on the team, do they not?
They do have Julius Chestnut on the team. That is true.
So maybe the real question is who gets more carries, Chestnut, Haskins, or Hilliard?
I mean, it's a question some people are asking. Not me, but some people. But hey, again, good for Julius Chestnut. Look, in all seriousness, naked eye from afar from the sideline,
he looked good.
You could make a case that Chestnut ran it a little bit better than Haskins did in camp. There certainly isn't some big gap between them right now.
I'm still interested to see what their roster looks like come game day on that front.
Yeah,
and then
could be different.
Could be different, and then at receiver, is Josh Gordon a factor? Like, is he going to be activated, or are they going with Cody Hollister as their fifth receiver? Hopefully, if you're the Titans, your fifth receiver not getting a whole lot of playing time out there offensively. But I am interested to see if Josh Gordon, if he shows them enough this week at practice where they feel comfortable with him being the fifth guy on game day. I would still, in a perfect world to me, I'd rather take my chances with Josh Gordon if you feel like you have anything left in the tank as your fifth guy than Hollister. But I think there's also a real chance that doesn't happen and that Hollister's the guy on Sunday.
If Gordon's really good in practice and he's picking everything up and he's ready to go, you could obviously always have injuries. Like, let's say you lose someone key or a couple people late in the game. Would you rather have like a Josh Gordon out there as a possible playmaker or a Cody Hollister? I mean, I'd rather go with Gordon. But, yeah, I mean, at this point it's hard. But at the same time, I say that and then ask me to predict it, and I'm going to predict that he's not going to be active on Sunday. So we'll see.
And with all of that being said, to me, still the biggest storyline offensively, and you can go through Henry and the tight ends and Tannehill and all that stuff, but the biggest storyline is going to be, how in the world does that offensive line hold up? Both in the run game and the passing game. Like, it's been a while, for me at least, since we've had some concerns about, the run blocking going on with this line. I'm interested to see how that looks, albeit against what we think is going to be a little bit of a depleted front for the Giants heading into this game. But, Petit Frere making the start at right tackle, how does he hold up? What does the protection look like for Tannehill in this game? That's going to be paramount, not only for the game, but how they move forward here with a much stiffer test in Game 2 coming up against Buffalo.
Yeah, it's going to be a story all year. It's the biggest concern. It's the biggest, to me, thing that can derail this team. And it's also, I think with Petit Frere, we're going to see growing pains, and you're going to see help that way. And if Taylor Lewan can make it so you don't even need to worry about him, then okay, well, you're shifting your help toward Petit Frere, fine. But to me, the Aaron Brewer thing is just really interesting. They love him, we know that, and he's done well when he's had to fill in. We know that too. How does he hold up as a starting left guard in the NFL? There's a lot of enthusiasm and optimism about what he is, but I'm just really interested to see it, and it's especially in some matchups where his size would seem to be a big disadvantage. And Kaharski's brought this point up, and I think it's a good one. Even if he looks good early in the season, 17 games of that,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, sometimes you have to really work hard to keep weight up during a season. But I'm really interested to watch him and to watch Brewer, Lewan, when they run outside zone going that way. We've seen some monster car crashes with Saffold and Lewan. What's it look like with Brewer and Lewan?
Wouldn't it be nice and fun to have to work hard to keep your weight up?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I lived that. Like in high school, I lived that.
Those days are long gone for me, my friend.
Yeah. It does sound amazing, though. Kudos to you, Aaron Brewer.
That's right. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Daniel Popper from The Athletic, who covers the L.A. Chargers. We'll continue our look around the AFC with him. This is Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hi, I'm Yusuf Saros. And this is Nashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by UC Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5, The Game.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Hey, Willy Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month, and inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it that you can access with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off those 23% rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut $800 or more from their monthly budget. If your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto now and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Need a new tractor, zero-turn mower, utility vehicle? Try it and buy it at Coleman Tractor of Nashville's Kubota Field event, Thursday, September 15th at Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Fun Shoot at one of Coleman Tractor's biggest sales events of the year. Demo, subcompact, compact, utility tractors, and more. Ask about competitive financing offers. Get a coupon for up to $250 and enter to win an Orca cooler. Don't miss Coleman Tractor of Nashville's Kubota Field event, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on September 15th at Nashville Gun Club during the Shooting Hunger Sporting Clays Fun Shoot.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra. Results vary.
At Third and Home, you can watch the Nashville Sounds from the patio and your favorite college or NFL game in September. All the sports in one spot, plus drink and wing specials, burgers, flatbreads, and more. Don't worry, your game will be on one of the 28 TVs, so you don't miss any of the action. Follow Third and Home Bar on social for all the info.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN. Welcome into Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Somebody company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rex Road, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rex Road, Nick Keys are here with you on this Monday morning. Take a look around the AFC, and to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Daniel Popper from The Athletic, who covers the LA Charger. Daniel, good morning. How are you? Thanks for joining us this morning.
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. So, Daniel, obviously a lot of expectations for this Chargers team heading into the year with the additions they made in the offseason. Justin Herbert at quarterback entering into his 3rd season. What do you make of what the Chargers are on paper and how that translates to what you think they could be in a loaded AFC West heading into this year?
Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, it's the best roster they've had since I started covering this team in 2019. It's the most balanced roster, the most complete roster. The real priority this offseason was going out and retooling on defense, revamping on defense. It really was an overhaul because they were bad defensively last season. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. So they go out, they get J.C. Jackson, the best cornerback on the market. They trade for Khalil Mack to improve their edge rushing. They signed 2 defensive linemen, Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson. They bring in Bryce Callahan. So you're looking at as many as 7 new starters on defense, and they really felt like they had to get bigger and more physical up front to defend the run, and they had to get more depth in the secondary so that they could play man-to-man on 3rd down and get off the field. I think they're going to be better defensively if they can just be like a middle-of-the-pack defense instead of, they ranked 26th in DVOA last year. The offense is going to be elite with Justin Herbert. And so that's going to, put them in the playoffs if they can put together that on offense and defense and be a little bit better on special teams as well.
Yeah, and Daniel, on Herbert, I think anybody who watches the NFL at all would agree that he is a special talent who could be a special player for a long time. What do you think is next for him? Is there do you detect any sort of growth change in him in the preseason, in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen the physical tools. I think what you're going to start to see this year from Justin Herbert is just a mastery, of the position and of the system from a mental perspective. He's an underrated processor, and people in the building think that he can be like a Drew Brees level processor in terms of how he sees the game. And that's really where he's taking the next step. This is going to be the first time in a long time that he's been in the same system for 2 straight years. I mean, he did it once in college, but that was really the only time he had 3 different offenses in college, and 2 obviously so far in the NFL. So being more comfortable in Joe Lombardi's scheme, understanding that scheme better, and then doing a lot of what they call football 202 stuff. He started changing his cadence at the line of scrimmage. That's one thing. He's been watching a lot of Aaron Rodgers. Corey Linsley, the Chargers center, played with Aaron Rodgers for a long time in Green Bay, and so he started changing his cadence at the line of scrimmage, trying to draw defensive players outside. Things like that, the next level, the Masters version, of playing quarterback, some of these next level things, that's what you're going to start seeing him do. And then he's just going to have all of these banked experiences from seeing what opposing defenses are trying to do to him. And so it's really scary to think what's going to happen when you marry like the physical tools that he has with, that mental ability that's really going to start rounding out this year as he's seen more and as he gets more comfortable in Joe Lombardi's offensive system.
What do the Chargers feel like Khalil Mack still has left in the tank? Given he's 31 years old, he's obviously been a phenomenal player, and that combo of Mack and Joey Bosa at outside linebacker, what do the Chargers feel like he's got kind of still left in the tank heading into this year?
Yeah, they feel like he's got a lot more left in the tank than a lot of people think. A lot of people have sort of written Khalil Mack off, that he's in decline, obviously coming off a foot injury that limited to 7 games last year. But, I went back and watched his film from last year. He still has a lot of juice as a pass rusher, but the one area that the Chargers are really excited about is what he's going to bring as a run defender. And that showed up in training camp. Like, he is an excellent run defender on the edge. And for a team that really struggled against the run last year, obviously you talk a lot about the interior linemen and them going out and signing these 2 guys, Sebastian Joseph and Austin Johnson, bigger guys. But they think that Khalil Mack is going to be just as important to their improved run defense in terms of setting the edge, making those splash plays on the outside. He did it a bunch in training camp. And as long as he can stay healthy, which is obviously a big if, I think he's going to bring a lot to this football team, and we'll see if he's able to stay on the field. That's really what it comes down to.
Daniel, Brandon Staley, a guy who I think justifiably took some criticism for some in-game decisions last year. Obviously, a promising young coach overall. What's the feeling on him from even from Chargers fandom going into this season? And then how is he just viewed even in terms of the front office?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you do have any questions about his 4th down decision-making, I would suggest you go to theathletic.com and read the feature that I wrote specifically about that topic, because there's a lot that goes into it, a lot that goes into the modeling. But the Chargers love him as a coach. The front office ownership love him as a coach. I think over the course of the season, his decision-making really was a positive. Specifically, if you talk about 4th downs, there was a bunch of wins early in the season, whether it's the Chiefs in Week 3, the Raiders in Week 4, the Browns in Week 5, the Bengals in Week 11, that all were pretty much direct as all the successful conversions on 4th down. There were a couple of decisions late in the season that didn't go their way, but the Chargers feel like they have a real advantage in their head coach in terms of how he makes decisions, how he deals with players, and we'll see if it comes to fruition this year. But the one thing I'll say is this, it has to happen this year. Ownership went out and spent a ton of cash this offseason, top 5 in the league in cash spending, whether it was trading for Khalil Mack and converting his salary to signing bonus, whether it was all of these free agents they signed, whether it was doing the Derwin James deal. They spent a lot of cash, and the time is now. Justin Herbert's on a rookie deal. Brandon Staley has gotten all of his pieces that he needs defensively to run the scheme. They have to make the playoffs this year, and they have to win, or else there's going to be some serious questions asked. That's sort of where the organization is at.
Daniel Popper from The Athletic on with us here on Robbie and Rex Road. So, Daniel, thinking back to draft time, a lot of the conversation here around the Titans centered around Zion Johnson and the role that he could play if the Titans were able to get him. Obviously, that didn't happen, and he ends up with the Chargers. What have been the impressions thus far with Zion Johnson out of Boston College?
Yeah, he's just a freak physically. To be that strong at that age is really, really impressive, and you've seen it show up in his run blocking in training camp, in his pass rush, pass blocking, in those one-on-ones, particularly like in the Cowboys practice. They're really excited about what he's going to be able to bring. Just from what I've seen, I think he's like a little step ahead as a run blocker than he is in pass protection. Like he's going to be a real difference maker as a run blocker from the get-go, and he might have a little bit, more of a learning curve in terms of pass protection, passing off stuns, things like that. Some of those issues popped up during training camp. But the Chargers really felt like they needed to solidify the right side of their line because they could have really only run in one direction last year. Like the left side of their line was fantastic with Corey Linsley, left guard Matt Filer, and then all-pro rookie Rashawn Slater. But they got kind of predictable late in games if they were in 4-minute offense trying to protect leads. Everyone pretty much knew they were going to run to the left side because they didn't have much juice on the right side. They bring in Zion Johnson. They feel like now they can have a much more balanced rushing attack. He's going to be a key piece of that and take some of the pressure off of Justin Herbert, particularly in these late-game situations when they're trying to protect leads.
Daniel, I can't wait to watch just this division and all the games of these teams playing against each other. I mean, I think you could make a strong case for any of them probably. But how do you view just that race and what it's going to be like to watch the AFC West this year?
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. It's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, these teams are going to be going at it all season, just starting with the quarterback play. I mean, it's certainly the best group of quarterbacks I've ever seen in a division. Now, I haven't been doing this that long. I can't say I've been in the business for 40 years, but it's a really, really talented group of quarterbacks. And you talk about some of these edge rushing tandems, whether it's Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, whether it's Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb. You can sort of go down the list. You got Chris Jones and Frank Clark in Kansas City. It's going to be really, really entertaining football. Every AFC West game is going to be must-see television. And like you said, I agree with you. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if any of these teams come out on top, and I wouldn't be surprised if any team ends up in last place. There's just that much talent, and it's going to be a war of attrition here as each team has to play 6 games against really talented opponents. And you play twice a season, and these divisional games, as you guys know, are always really tough because the teams know each other really well. It's going to be a blast to cover because it's really unpredictable because of how much talent there is in the division.
Daniel, when people start talking about, the top running backs in the game, obviously Henry comes up here and Jonathan Taylor and Alvin Kamara and all these different guys. What makes Austin Eckler so special and such a good fit for that offense in particular?
Yeah, the first thing is just his versatility. He can line up anywhere and he can produce from anywhere. So he can run and catch out of the backfield. He can line up in the slot and win there. He can line up wide and win there. He's fast. He's great. He has great contact balance. He's extremely strong. He can run outside of tackles. He can run inside of tackles. So that's just a long-winded way of saying that he can do literally everything you want an offensive weapon to do on the field. And then he's like, from a work ethic perspective, they call him PFP, pound for pound, because he's the strongest guy pound for pound on the team. He's an absolute nut job in the weight room. And so he just brings everything you want, and he plays with a certain level of fire. Just because he was an undrafted free agent, he had to battle his way onto this roster in 2017, and he knows, how fleeting the NFL is. And so he has everything he could possibly want in a player. And 20 touchdowns in a season, that's really, really impressive. I don't know if he gets there this year, but, in this offense, you need a player like that. Alvin Kamara obviously thrives in this offense in New Orleans. Joe Lombardi brought it to L.A., and you need a running back that has that kind of versatility that can line up anywhere, and he creates mismatches all over the field.
Sony Michel just making the short drive over. Is he going to help this team?
Yeah, I think so. Isaiah Spiller, the running back they took in the 4th round at Texas A&M, sprained his ankle in the second preseason game, and I think that the Chargers sort of looked at their running back room after that happened and got a little worried about their depth. And so they had Sony Michel available. They went out and brought him over. We'll see how this thing sort of shakes out. I mean, they've been looking for a second running back behind Austin Eckler for a while. I thought they could have brought in a veteran in the offseason. Would have made sense just to maybe get some reliability there behind Austin Eckler so he doesn't have to play 700-plus snaps this season. They opted to go with a younger player, Isaiah Spiller. They had Josh O'Kelly coming back. He was a 4th-round pick 3 years ago. And then they've had Larry Roundtree, who was a 6th-round pick last year, and they felt like one of those young guys is going to emerge. I don't know if it really turned out exactly how they wanted it to with Spiller's injury. So they bring in Michel, a veteran who, in particular, is very good in pass protection, and so they feel like they have a reliable guy that they can play on all 3 downs. Maybe, not the most productive guy in the world, but a guy that at least can pick up blitzes and be a solid in pass protection on 3rd down. So we'll see. He has a chance to claim the second running back spot. I think early in the season it'll be Joshua Kelly, and I think ideally for the organization, Spiller will come back from this ankle injury and take over that role and run away with it, and it'll be a 1-2 punch of Eckler and Spiller sort of in the second half of the season. But, yeah, he'll be in the mix. We'll sort of see what happens as they start getting into games here, and they'll feed the hot hand. That's really what they've said all along in terms of that second running back spot behind Austin Eckler.
Well, Daniel, I don't think there's any doubt the Chargers are going to be one of the most intriguing teams in the league this season. Thanks so much for taking time to join us this morning. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Daniel Popper from The Athletic, our guest here on Robbie and Rexroad. We'll continue the conversation. Welcome more of your thoughts on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexroad, you've got a message for us as we head into the break.
I do. A message on ordergreen.com, which is the nation's #1 online shop for all things cannabis. Look, this has been tremendous for me. Stress, anxiety, inflammation. I get on there in the hoops court. Sometimes it's a little bit of a toll on the body. These products are fantastic. You can shop online. You got a wide selection of high-quality THC and CBD products. You got edibles. You got gummies, vapes, flowers, you name it, they got it. And their team's got extensive knowledge for every product, too. So you can know you're receiving the highest quality from the providers nationwide, same-day delivery right to your doorstep, and you get 25% off every shipment of gummies if you have a subscription. So promo code Joe20, get 20% off your first purchase. Again, that is ordergreen.com.
It's Family Leisure's 30th annual Labor Day sale.
End of summer clearance items like pools and rafts and pool toys to our new indoor products like massage chairs and theater seating.
Save up to 40% off on all new patio furniture. Over 100 sets on display. Save up to 70% on display model and discontinued items.
Family Leisure has all the big brand names in casual furniture on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Truckloads of spas arriving daily. Over 50 spas on display and on sale. There are even some scratch and dent spas on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Family Leisure has above ground pools in stock and ready for immediate installation at clearance sale prices.
But the Labor Day sale also kicks off the fall indoor product season.
Enjoy the movie theater experience at home with home theater seating. 3-piece sets start at only $9.99.
Family Leisure has massage chairs starting at just $9.99 as well.
Pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, even ping pong tables are all on sale this weekend.
That's Family Leisure's Labor Day sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Labor Day is here, and that means huge savings in every department at Electronic Express. Get up to 40% off the latest 4K TVs from Samsung, LG, Sony, Hisense, TCL, and more. That's not all. Save big on laptops, speakers and headphones, smart home, and more. Up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. The Labor Day sales event is going on now at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Tune in to ESPN 1025 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
In today's economy, employers and employees should be working together to create safe, good-paying jobs with no unnecessary government overreach. Right to work does not belong in the state constitution. Tennesseans, this voting season, vote no on Amendment 1. Visit TennesseeWorkersAlliance.org, paid for by the Nashville Building Trades.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robbie and Rexroad on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robbie and Rexroad, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad, Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks to Daniel Popper for joining us in the last segment. Joe, we're going to find out pretty quickly what the Chargers are made of, I think. They play the Raiders coming up on Sunday, and then a week from Thursday, taking on Kansas City on Thursday Night Football. So 2 divisional games right off the jump. The Raiders and the Chiefs starting pretty quick for the Chargers coming up this week.
Yeah, and like Daniel said, just every single one of these matchups is going to be must-see TV. I think the more I think about it and the more I just wonder about the Chiefs, wonder about Tyreek Hill and just, Juju Smith-Schuster is who you're hitching your wagon to, and Edwards-Helaire can't stay healthy, and their defense is getting older. I think on paper the Chargers actually are, I don't want to say like clear like they should be the favorite. They're clearly the best team, but I think
I'll say it.
I think the best roster.
I think on paper they're clearly the best team in the West.
And
now, a lot of people don't agree with that. I get it, but I think they are.
And that's saying something, given, like he said, like we've been saying, how all of them look dangerous. I mean, the Raiders, who knows? Josh McDaniels getting another shot at coaching. I sure like their offensive skill.
I do.
And I think the Broncos, they feel like their D is going to be just as salty, and now you bring in Russ. The more I think about the Chiefs, man, I feel like there could be a bit of a step back this year. Like they could be like last place.
You want to pick them to miss
There's
playoffs?
a hot take. No, I'm not going to. It's hard to pick Pat Mahomes to not make the playoffs. But remember how bad their offense looked for so much of last year? Came in here, and I was like, what is this? That's
Dane Cruikshank out there shutting people down.
Right? Yeah, he's just like, come on, Kelsey, I got you. I mean, I was like, they're in Kansas City uniforms, but that's not them. And they figured it out, of course. They end up getting to the NFC title game, but
AFC.
Yeah, sorry. Close enough. Just 1-0 mutes for you.
Yeah, it is that.
But I don't know. I feel, and then I knew as soon as we talked to Daniel about the Chargers, you think of all the things they have.
Yeah.
Man, it is like good receivers. They're good in the trenches. They got some pass rush. I mean, they've got
great back.
And now you throw Mack in there. What if Mack has some? Yeah, great back. I mean, you asked him about it. It's like people don't talk about him enough. But what if Mack is going to have this career resurgent kind of season for them with Bosa?
That's the
Bosa
thing.
and Mack.
Think about Bosa on one side and Mack on the other. Like if Khalil Mack is anything close to what he's been throughout his career, that is a pretty formidable duo there at outside linebacker for those guys.
Yeah, and the Brandon Staley, which I hadn't read yet, I'm actually going to read that after the show. He dives deep on the Staley, and that's the thing. There's always more to it. We don't watch that team all the time, so or at least I don't. I have to raise my hand. It's like those primetime games. That Chiefs game especially was just like, man, what are we doing? Yeah. But it's an interesting. I'm sure there's more to that story. It's a good idea to do that story. Also, makes sense that like this year, if they falter, he's the clear scapegoat, right?
No question.
That's how it goes in this league.
Tyler on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, going back to the Titans, says, I'd like to make a PSA for the offensive line. Everyone needs to remember how bad Nate Davis looked in the beginning of his career, and now the consensus is he's a good player. If Petit Frere struggles, it doesn't mean that he's not going to pick it up, and patience will be key. This is from Tyler on the text line.
Yeah, Nate Davis was banged up at his first camp too, and then he was not ready to play, and then he got out there because, my gosh, someone other than Jamil Douglas had to be out there after the Jacksonville game, and it took a while. Nate Davis and everybody, really, on the entire offense in the 16-0 loss at Denver looked completely hapless, and then he was good by the end of the year. So, agree, for sure. Petit Frere, there's going to be some growing pains in front of everyone. That's what happens when you're a rookie right tackle. I'm sure that they will help him, though. And again, if Taylor Lewan can be on the island out there and they can just kind of focus on helping Petit Frere as much as they can, then I think they'll be fine.
We've talked about a wild week one of college football. It's not over, Joe Rexrode. There is a game tonight. Clemson taking on Georgia Tech. Nice ACC conference game tonight. Clemson favored by 23.5 in that game. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have much interest in this game because I think Clemson's going to destroy them. I am interested to see exactly what they are as they move forward here. There were so many expectations for them last year. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence goes to the NFL. DJ Uiagalelei, the starting quarterback for Clemson last year. I will never forget how to say his name. You know, they're number 4 in the country this year. Can they live up to that? That's going to be interesting to watch this year.
Well, the guy whose name you just said perfectly is huge. Now, they do have, I believe, a freshman. Some people are already like, come on, time for the freshman. But, you know, every freshman isn't Trevor Lawrence. But he was pretty bad last year. And I know he's lost weight, and that's a big thing with Uiagalelei, is losing weight and being more of a run threat and all that stuff. He didn't run hardly at all. But also he was an inaccurate, bad passer too often last year. So that's honestly the most interesting thing about this game is I think it'll be a blowout. And unfortunately, Georgia Tech. I mean, this is not a great – we usually get a better game on Labor Day than this one. It's kind of unfortunate. But he is interesting to me. See how he looks. Just does he look like a different player? If so, well, then I guess I can buy Clemson in the top 5. They still are, on paper, completely loaded everywhere else.
Well, they got some interesting games this year. Obviously, in the ACC with Wake Forest, they got NC State coming up, Miami, who looked pretty good over the weekend, Florida State, who looked good last night. They also got a game with Notre Dame coming up on November 5th as well. So a little Clemson-Notre Dame action later this year as well. So, look, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine they're going to get through this thing undefeated. I think they'll probably slip up somewhere along the line. And, you know, can the ACC get anybody in the college football playoff? Clemson's probably their best shot, but we'll see what happens on that front. It's been an interesting offseason for our boy Dabo and the way that he has spoken about the NIL and the transfer portal and all this other stuff. They had 0 transfers. 0. Not one transfer on their team. It's kind of amazing. We'll see how that works out for them moving forward.
They had 0 that came in.
0.
Yeah, Dabo's trying to keep it old school, which is fine. But if you're you're losing guys, I mean, Nick Saban's like, sure, we'll take good players however we can get them. We might need to adapt a little bit and also stop whining.
See your least favorite coach in college football right now?
No, but he's the least likable coach.
Okay, I like that.
I put that on Twitter one time. People are like, he's the least likable coach. Come on. I'm like, no, I say he's the least likable coach.
Yes, there's a difference.
A big distinction there. Yes. Dabo, big year for Dabo, though, because last year was just a bit stunning.
Yeah.
Shows you that what that position matters.
And it was a bit stunning. And what they end up going last year, they're like 10-3, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
But a guy named Pat Narduzzi won the ACC.
He did.
So, friend of the show.
Friend of the show. We'll have Pat Narduzzi on later this week as well. Looking forward to that. That's going to do it for us today here on the Labor Day version of Robbie and Rex Road. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase is coming up next. Hope everybody has a great rest of their holiday today. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch The Game.
He scores!